Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Happy Wednesday, Nashville. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Cory, great to have you back in studio. You are our roving reporter out there in Pittsburgh last week, but nice to have you back. Lots to get to today.
Yeah, we did talk. I don't even remember our conversation in Pittsburgh.
As you guys were making your way from the
that's right. I was in the car
from the Play 60 event back over to the to Permanente Bros.
Yeah, and we lost connection. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll tell you, that was a busy couple of days.
I'm sure.
So I was glad I got to call you, especially after talking to all those guys.
Right.
It's funny because I didn't talk to Carnell Tate. Guys, I never considered it. I never considered it an actual choice.
Well, that's what it was so funny. We had TD in on draft day on Thursday, and as we were kind of signing off, we said, all right, here are your two scenarios. If Jeremiah Love is on the board, like if they take Reese third, it's going to be either Love or Styles at 4. Mm-hmm. And if Love goes third, it's going to be Reese or a trade down. That was the only scenarios that was in anybody's head. And of course, the Titans fooled everybody taking Carnell Tate.
Yeah. I mean, look, I talked to some people. I pretty much knew Styles was not going to be the pick.
Yeah.
That was something they wanted out there. You know, I'm guessing they were trying to get somebody to trade up with them to get him, you know, whether it be Washington or Dallas or whoever.
Right.
So I knew it wasn't going to be him. So I was just expecting the fallback to be Reese, unless like they traded. And you know, it was a gasp in the media room.
Oh, I'm sure.
Whoa!
There was a gasp in my apartment as it happened.
Yeah. And you know, I was stunned. And look, the Titans know more than me. We'll see what he does. You know, I always hate having to live up to the pick, you know.
Right.
Like, there's always the talk of Corey Davis didn't live up to the 5th pick. And no, he didn't. But he was the Titans' one until he wasn't, until A.J. Brown came in, and then he became the one.
Right.
But you know, Carnell's going to have to prove he's the one. But they need him to be with the 4th pick with that kind of investment. He needs to be an 80 for 1,200 type guy.
And that's the conversation we've had this week is, yes, in terms of this year's draft, I don't think Carnell Tate was much of a reach because we've heard from other teams. They valued him. They thought he was a top 10 pick. You probably couldn't have traded down very far and still gotten Carnell Tate.
No, but you could have just taken Arvell Reese and then drafted Denzel Boston at 35.
Yeah, and that's a scenario we've talked about too, that if you went with Reese, I think there was a better depth of wide receivers than there was the top end talent in Tate and Tyson.
Now, the question is, how does Reese fit into this defense?
Right.
Now, you could, because in a 3-4, you know, I mean, in New York, he's going to be opposite of Abdul Carter. I mean,
and Brian Burns, and as of now, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's a loaded room.
Yeah, they're feeling pretty good right now.
Although right now the Giants, John Harbaugh said that they're going to start Arvell Reese playing at inside linebacker next to Tremaine Edmonds.
Wow.
So they're going to start him there and then kind of work him into being a pass rusher.
Yeah. Well, you know, that kind of makes sense. I mean, you've got that luxury. And I always say you don't go wrong drafting great players, even though he may not fit you right now. You figure it out.
Right. And I expected it to be Reese, but it ended up being Carnell Tate. And we're going to talk plenty about the draft today, get Cory's thoughts on what the Titans did this weekend. But did want to start with the big news from last night.
Yeah.
Chad Brinker steps down as the president of football operations. I won't say it's surprising. I think when Amy announced the restructure of the front office at the end of the year, saying that, you know, they're both going to report to her and Mike Borgonzi. He is the football guy, and he's going to have final say on all of the personnel decisions, which I think is what was happening last year anyway.
Yeah.
It felt like Chad Brinker was not long for this organization. He probably wanted to get closer to being in personnel again.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Chad Brinker hired him, all right, I mean, you hired a GM. That means he's making the picks. And that's why, like, people, you know, well, who's making the pick? Who's in charge? Look, ultimately, Amy's in charge. If you want to do that, we can do that and just say, well, okay, then Amy's making all the picks because she's in charge. All right. But the moment Brinker hired him, he gave that up. because that's his job. That's his job. And, he was offered the opportunity that he was given, and I understand him taking it, and it naturally took him out of making personnel decisions.
Yep.
And, but, again, you're getting promoted at the time, and you're okay. Yes, I've got to hire the GM. I don't know if you sit back and go, well, what does this mean for me long term? It means I'm not picking the players.
Yep.
And so it's kind of a interesting situation. You look at the restructuring. I understand some people will have violent opinions about, oh, well, that means he got demoted. I think it's just defined roles more. That
I would agree with that.
To me, I don't get into so much of the promoted, demoted. Chad Brinker was making a lot of money, and he had a job that really needs to be done, and that was in charge of facilities and analytics and all those things. I mean, there's people who want that job.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get back to personnel. There are 1 million people out there. There are 10 million people out there who have gone into jobs who became something that they didn't expect, and then leave to go back to what they really want to do. I just don't think it's that unusual. He knows enough people in the NFL. If he wants to get back into personnel, he'll be able to get back into personnel. I don't blame him if that's what he wants to do. They were asking me in news last night, is this an A Block story instead of just in sports?
Yeah.
And I said, I put it out on Twitter right after it happened, and I've gotten 5 likes on it. And so I said, it's not rocking the world out there.
Yeah.
And understandably so, because he doesn't pick the players. And so fans, and I've heard some people calling in the last show, they don't care, or they don't like Brinker. It's easy to not like him. He doesn't pick the players. Okay. So you're really making it, if anything, you should say, hey, we think Mike Borgonzi's good, and he picked him out. So thank you.
I think Brinker fell out of favor because he was associated with the Rand Carthon era. And, Rand hired him, and then,
then he hired
Brinker. Ended up being the one that Amy chose out of that duo in the front office. And I think people wondered, why was he not held responsible for the mistakes that were made over those couple of years?
Well, he wasn't the one picking the players.
At least not for a year.
It was Vrabel, and then it was Carthon.
Yeah. And
he was a contributor.
Right. And Brinker, he was thrust into that position of power. But as we've seen with Amy Adams Strunk, it's like she finds the person that she trusts. Yeah. And for a little bit there, it was Brinker. But I think she has looked at what Mike Borgonzi has done over the past year. And I think it's more just the way Mike Borgonzi carries himself. Like, you listen to Mike Borgonzi, and that sounds like a guy who knows what he's doing. Well, Chad Brinker, I never, when I listened to him, I never felt like Chad Brinker was able to portray the right way to run this organization. Mike Borgonzi seems like he has a plan, and he's executing it.
It's easy to say that when the team wins 12 games in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
And I think that's what's lost on people here when they're looking at all of the turnover. And yes, it's a lot of turnover. It is. I understand that. I understand how ugly that looks. I understand how dysfunctional it looks. But what it says to me is she doesn't like losing. She doesn't like losing. She doesn't like people wasting her money. She doesn't like people promising one thing and delivering something else.
Right.
Okay. And is she a little quick triggered on that? Maybe. But at the same time, was she too quick triggered on Brian Callahan? I'll say no. I'll say she was exactly right. She was exactly right on Ken Wisenhunt. Right. Exactly right. And again, I'm not sitting here saying she's the greatest owner ever. I'm just, when the team wins 12 games in 3 years, it's easy to call out everything and say it's all awful.
Yeah.
Because the results are all awful. So, look, the people who were cast out produced 12 wins in 3 years.
Yep.
So what are we talking about? I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, and you hope that this is the final, and I wouldn't even call this a shakeup, right? Like, Amy Adams Strunk made the decision to, I wouldn't even say promote Mike Borgonzi, but she chose that Mike Borgonzi was going to be the football executive. He was going to make all the choices on personnel, and Chad Brinker fell into the background.
And there's plenty of work on both sides.
Yes.
And I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
But like, Floyd Reese, who sat in these chairs for many years,
Yep.
and then sat in those chairs for many, many more
Right.
years. What I was told by Floyd, among others, was that his job as Titans Oilers GM was not like most GMs, because he did everything.
Right.
Everything. And he had to do a lot of paperwork and management stuff that most GMs didn't have to do. And John Robinson then had to do all of those things. All right. And then as the Titans organization grew, they started taking some of those things off their plate. And also Bud wasn't calling the shots.
Yeah.
Because Bud would spend money in some places, he would obviously save it in others. And so I don't get the angst about separating duties.
No, I agree.
I don't understand why people are upset about separating these duties. Someone else can run the bubble.
Yeah.
Someone else can run the cafeteria. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with Mike Borgonzi picking the players.
Right. These
are an important job.
These are multi-billion-dollar franchises.
Yeah.
And it's not maybe 30 years ago you could handle all of it, but isn't it better to have Mike Borgonzi focus solely on building the best roster possible?
Yeah.
And you have Burke Nihill, who runs the non-football business side of the organization. But I do think the football side, there's way more responsibilities than just who are we signing in free agency and who are we drafting, right? And that's, I know some people think it sounds stupid that he's in charge of the grass and like in charge of.
Look, they have revamped those practice fields.
Right.
It's been a major undertaking and a major improvement within the organization. The whole practice facility has been a major improvement. Cardell Tate did an interview the other day.
Yeah, said he thought it was the best facility that he saw.
Yeah, of all the facilities they saw. The last point I want to make on this, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it anymore in the show or not, is when Amy came in, she had Steve Underwood, who was Bud's longtime guy. And she was able to lean on Steve Underwood.
Yep.
Okay. So she's been searching for that Steve Underwood since he left. Now, I know he's back with the organization some now. And so maybe some of this is back to her leaning on him a little bit. But I really think, a lot of this turnover has happened after he left. And she's been searching for that person she can trust. Right?
That's, and she hasn't found him over the last few years, right?
No, they won 12 games.
This is now Mike Borgonzi. If you're including Chad Brinker, this is the fourth football executive that they've had the last few years, because Brinker was in a position of enough power that I think you can put him into, he's not the GM, but he was
contributed.
Right. He was up at the very top of the football operation.
Yeah.
And now you're on your third head coach in the last 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You hope that this pairing that you have now of Borgonzi and Sala will stick. But I do agree with you that there is a lot that goes into that job, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do fill that football operations role.
If they want to hire me for it, I'll do it. I may not be good at it, but I know that job's going to pay a lot, and I get to be around the NFL every day.
Well, right.
I'll take
you
it.
want to do the analytics and the salary cap management and all that kind of stuff.
They don't want me doing that, but
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, we'll take your reaction on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Lots to get to on the show with Cory today. We'll keep talking about this, get into the draft throughout this first hour. Also, Diego Pavia officially signing an undrafted free agent deal with the Ravens. And we'll have to spend a little bit of time on the college basketball March Madness expansion, which no one seems to be a fan of.
So Kendall, who works with us, is going to talk to Evan Brads and Nick McDevitt today about that.
Yeah, I think I'd like to know what the coaches think of it, right? Because
I think it's going to help save some coaches' jobs.
Right, because it's going to be easier to get into the tournament.
But I don't think it's going to help Evan Brads and Nick McDevitt.
Yeah, that's fair, because the at-large bids are going to go
to Stephen Pearl.
Right. It's going to go to the 12th best SEC team.
It's going to go to a team that went 6-12 in conference play.
Right.
Yes, I can't wait.
We'll get into that later in the show as well. 615-737-1025. You can also let us know how you're feeling about the Titans, about Chad Brinker, the draft, in our YouTube chat, 1025 The Game Nashville on YouTube. So check us out there as well. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday morning. We are diving into the news last night. Chad Brinker steps down as the president of football operations for the Titans. Let's go to the phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Daniel is called in. Daniel, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking my call. I've been listening and obviously got the news like everybody else did last night. And I was wondering if like with all the new coaching staff that come in and with, Sala and Dabo and Gus Bradley or whoever, all the other coaches in there, and then Mike Borgonzi in that whole strange situation was like, okay, who's making the calls? Who's doing this, doing that? I wonder if it just kind of naturally pushed Chad Brinker to the side, and I wonder if he had any input whatsoever in the draft, and maybe he didn't, and then perhaps he was like, okay, I see where this is going. Maybe I need to get out of here. And then, one more thing, y'all was talking about, Amy Adams, getting rid of coaches or how we've done that in the past. I mean, I look at it in terms of this. I know that we're a bottom feeder organization. I'm a diehard, lifelong Titans fan. I totally get it on the outside looking in. But my thing is this: if you see something that ain't working, why would we not get rid of them? Like, we knew Callahan after a season wasn't going to work. We knew Wisenhunt wasn't going to work. I still remember when Wisenhunt came on all those years ago and said something like, hey, look, if they want me to coach better, maybe they need to let me pick the players or whatever. And then the next day he was gone.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well,
so
Daniel,
that was my thing. Like,
I could tell you
go ahead,
that.
sorry.
I was going to tell you on the Wisenhunt front, she wanted to fire Wisenhunt the moment she took over. She was persuaded to keep him on to start the next season. And that lasted 7 games, and she was right.
Yeah. And she was, right about, Callahan. And then that's my thing again. Even if Sala doesn't do something good, why are we wasting time with that? And there's going to be coaches or teams this year that are going to get fired or are going to fire their coaches because Mike Tomlin's out there, Sean McDermott's out there. And what happens if the Cowboys, only win 6 games? You know what I mean? Somebody's going to be going out there to get them. And you got coaches that are a year or 2 in, they're going to be gone. That's just the way it is. I just don't believe in wasting time. So I'm not so down on Amy about doing that. I'm actually glad. Like, if it ain't working, let's change it. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
I totally agree with him. We've had this conversation.
I know. I was about to say, I think we've done this before, but the problems with Amy Adams Strunk was not firing people. It was making bad hires to replace those people.
Which happens. Everybody does it. But I think what Daniel's saying, and he's right, is keeping a bad employee doesn't make them a good employee.
Yes.
Does it make you look bad? Sure, it does.
Yeah.
But in the end, again, and he said this is a bottom feeder organization. Were they a bottom feeder organization when they went to the playoffs 4 times in 6 years? No, they weren't. You're a bottom feeder when you're losing. They don't want to be losing, and right now they're losing, and they've got a lot of work to do. You hope you've got the right people in place. You think you made some progress last year on the draft front. We'll see. Again, that's still an incomplete process. And so we'll see how it all continues to come together. Look, there is room. I'm not an idiot. There is room, to say, hey, this is going well. This isn't going well. These, does she make decisions quickly? Yes. Is she swayed easily? Probably. But I don't have a problem with anybody that she's let go.
Yeah, I think you could question the timing of the John Robinson fire. You're in first place, you're 7-5, and because AJ Brown spanked the goalpost, you're going to fire John Robinson.
Wait till the end of the season.
But right, like John Robinson,
he made his own bed.
John Robinson deserves a ton of credit for getting the Titans to where they were in that 4 playoff appearances in 6 years. He also deserves a ton of blame for where the team has been for the past 3 seasons.
He built it up and he tore it down.
Yes. I mean, his last 3 drafts are all gone. Every single player from those drafts is gone.
Yeah.
And you can't look at that.
That's just the draft.
That's just the draft,
right? About free agency.
And trading away the only number 1 wide receiver you've had in, 20 years since Derek Mason left?
Yeah.
So, yes, John Robinson deserves a lot of blame. But, Amy probably could have fired him at the end of the year instead of in December. Yeah. But outside of that, I agree with you. Like, none of the guys that she fired deserve to stick around.
Well, I mean, like Vrabel, did he go to the Super Bowl? Yeah. Did he win a lot of games? Yeah. Did he go 6-18 his last 24? Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He did. And so, look, you could argue that Robinson and Vrabel each deserved another year. And I'll say, sure, there's an
argument there.
that.
Yep.
But you also have to acknowledge what happened and say, okay, that's going to get some people fired.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument, like you're saying, that maybe Vrabel and Robinson deserved a chance to fix their mess, right? Like they clearly had success. They got the team to the AFC Championship game. They got them to the number 1 seed, even without Derrick Henry. Like that duo did have the most success of a Titans organization since Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
And so you have to give them credit for that. And I do think that Amy could have given them a longer leash, but they both also made their beds, right? Like they made mistakes and the team was not winning and they were let go. The decision to fire them, I don't think is the reason the team has won 6 games in 2 years. It's because you replaced them with Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan.
Look, Jake, I have worked at News 2 for 22 years, 23 years. All right. And I like to think they consider me a good, valuable employee. That's why they kept me around. If I missed the Titans firing their head coach, if I missed then a week, 3 weeks later, them hiring their new head coach, guess what? I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
All those 23 years, they didn't mean squat. They're like, well, Cory, you were good the first 23. We're gonna give you a pass.
Well, and they could say, hey, maybe it's just a bad month for Cory. Let's give him another chance to redeem himself.
They're gonna fire me.
No, and I think you could make an argument that both are the right thing to do. But John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, it's not like it was the complete wrong decision to get rid of them.
And it wasn't it's not one wrong decision for Robinson.
It was 3 straight horrible drafts.
Well, I mean, look, you compounded Isaiah Wilson by drafting a player with back and knee problems in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can find a more disastrous stretch of 3 first rounds than 2020 through 2022 for John Robinson. And we were talking before the show, before we went on, about Mike Mayock and his tenure with the Raiders, which was bad.
Hold my beer.
Really bad. But from Isaiah Wilson, who played what? 1 snap? 4 snaps, sorry. All on special teams, I believe.
No.
1 in a kneel down situation.
Yes. 3 on a kneel down. He played 1 special team snap, okay?
Yes, and got a penalty.
No. He got knocked on his rear end.
That's what it was. Yes.
It was an extra point. He goes out there and to see a 380-pound man just get dump trucked on his behind is amazing. And then he was done there.
Yeah.
And then he came out for 3 kneel downs.
Yes.
So that was his NFL career.
A first-round pick who played 4 snaps and was traded for a 7th-round pick a year later.
And then was cut. Remember Brian Flores was going to fix him. Yeah. Brian Flores was the right guy for him.
He got a week in and was like, we can't handle this guy.
We make more excuses for bad people. Why? Why? Like the Titans get blamed for bad people. It's like Vince Young. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He didn't work out of the NFL as a quarterback long term. He didn't. And the Titans get blamed for it. It's not their fault. It's Vince Young's fault.
Right. Because like Vince Young, if you're drafting quarterbacks purely based off talent, Vince Young deserved to be the 3rd overall pick.
Sure.
Right? But
he didn't do the work to play the position.
Right.
It's that simple.
Well, yeah. And like Isaiah Wilson, same thing. He wanted to be a rapper instead of an NFL player.
Yeah. Is it the Cardinals' fault that Kyler Murray likes to play video games?
They had to write into his contract. You need to watch film on your iPad 2 hours a day.
I mean, we make excuses for bad employees.
Right.
Because it's the Titans, so it's their fault. And the Titans aren't the only team we do this with. It's your fault for picking them. All right. But this notion that, well, now they're going to go to Brian Flores. Now we're going to,
he's going to fix him.
How many guys actually get fixed?
Yeah. Usually if there's a problem somewhere, a change of scenery might help in some cases, but it's very rare. Like we've had people text in about like Brandon Ayuk. I wouldn't touch that situation with a 10-foot pole. And I think Robert Saleh
is it the 49ers break Brandon Ayuk? Was it nobody's saying that.
Robert Saleh is a foremost expert on the Brandon Ayuk situation.
If that happened here, everybody be killing Titans. Oh, the Titans just did Brandon Ayuk dirty. Oh, he's tired of the nonsense. But it's the 49ers,
right,
who we put up on a pedestal.
Yep.
So, Brandon Ayuk's a turd. Which is probably accurate. But it's probably accurate.
Titans have just not had the right people in charge for the last half decade, and now they're trying to fix it. Mike Borgonzi, Robert Saleh, with Chad Brinker stepping down. That is the duo that is supposed to lead the team back.
Looks like Borgo's headed for a third draft. That's a promising.
That is true. Run. That's longer than the last guy can say.
Yeah.
So. We will see. Mike Borgonzi heading into year 2, Robert Saleh into year 1, with Chad Brinker now stepping down last night. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on that, but we will get into the draft coming up next. There were a couple of comments yesterday about the Titans' decision at number 4.
Yeah.
Carnell Tate versus Arvell Reese.
It's been wildly discussed.
Yes. Dave Ziegler talked about it yesterday. We'll hear from him. And also, Albert Breer put a little excerpt together about what the Titans' choice looked like at number 4. We'll talk about that as well. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. NFL draft wrapped up this weekend. Cory was out there in Pittsburgh on Thursday night.
I like Pittsburgh.
I love Pittsburgh. One of my favorite cities. I do wish when you guys were out there that the Pirates were at home.
Because I would not have had time.
I'm sure you were busy, but PNC Park is my favorite ballpark in the country.
Yeah, I hear great things about it.
It's
I've
awesome.
Never been in it, but I've always heard great things
the
about
view
it.
of the Clemente
stinks,
Bridge over center. They're actually pretty good this year.
For now. They do this all the time.
But they are above 500 right now, which is
who's going to win the division?
Your guys, Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs.
Yeah. They've 10 straight wins?
They did win 10 straight. Then they lost 3 straight, but then they beat the Padres last night.
There you go. But on Thursday night, the Titans kind of shocked everybody, taking Carnell Tate over Arvell Reese at number 4. And there's been some reporting about what that came down to. And Albert Breer put this out yesterday. He says, the decision I've heard really came down to 2 Ohio State Buckeyes who'd bring very different things to the table, receiver Carnell Tate and linebacker Arvell Reese. They said that what really sold Tennessee was that Tate could win also in the short areas and on contested balls on third down and in the red zone. They said he was, Albert Breer said that he was the top player on their board at that moment and the top receiver overall on their board. Dave Ziegler, assistant GM, talked yesterday, and he had very similar things to say about why they ended up choosing Tate at number 4.
How did you see the process way out where you had Arvell Reese and Carnell Tate, both premium positions, but obviously solid? He's a defensive coach, but you got a top-level receiver. Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what you're looking for almost any time you're making a pick is you want to have a consensus as an organization on what the vision for the player is and how they fit, whether it be into your offense or into your defense, and what that looks like. And you want to have everybody have a good vision of what that is and feel comfortable with that vision is. And at the end of the day with Carnell, we just had a very good, I think there was a consensus vision on what he's going to do, where he's going to play, how he's going to fit in, and what he's going to bring to this team. So the fact that we were comfortable with that, I think led us to Carnell. And we're excited about what he does. You know, he's a receiver that can win at all 3 levels of the defense. You see him stretch the field. I think the unique thing about Carnell too is for a guy that's 6'2", he's a guy that can separate in a short area. He can run the majority of the route tree. And so what that means is you get a player that can also be productive on third down. But then you have this catch radius and the size and big hands where you see him show up in the red zone. And so that's what I think is unique about Carnell is that a lot of times you get the bigger, taller, linear receivers. They're not really, they're more like, I call them first and second down guys. They're not productive on third down because they don't have the route tree to do that. Or you have a bigger guy that doesn't consistently play big at the catch point. Carnell checked a lot of those boxes in that way where we're feeling we're really getting a complete 3-down player that can contribute on these critical downs and these critical situations, third down in the red zone. And so for us, having that vision, seeing that consensus, he was a clear guy for us to take, and we were excited about it.
So that was Dave Ziegler yesterday talking about the decision to go with Carnell Tate, even with Arvell Reese on the board. And he kept bringing up third down. And I do think that has been a focus this offseason, is giving Cam Ward more options on third down. That's what Wan'Dale Robinson is here for.
Guys you can count on.
Right. Wan'Dale Robinson, Carnell Tate, they catch the football.
Yep.
You throw it to them, they catch the football, and they both are able to run a lot of different routes, which gives you more options on third down rather than Jim DK and Alec Iamaner, who they can do other things, but they are more vertical guys than they are somebody who can run the different routes that Carnell Tate's going to be able to at the next level.
I texted you about this yesterday. Ridley and Iamaner, each of their completion rates around 50%.
Yep.
That is
can't happen.
That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. I would expect these two guys to be upwards of 70% combined. And that's what you need them to be. Because like you're saying, that moves the chains. That gets it done. The thing I've heard about Carnell Tate is most professional, most pro ready.
Yep.
And I think they put a premium on him being able to come in and start immediately. And be a guy, maybe not ready to be the guy yet, but yeah, being able to come in and playing at Ohio State, I think is part of that, being able to come in and be ready for the moment.
I agree with you. I hate scouting helmets. Like I said this because I like Chris Brazzell and everybody's like, oh, he's a Tennessee wide receiver. You can't take him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can scout the helmet and just say, oh, because he's an Ohio State receiver, he's going to be great.
There's a pretty good line
But
here.
it's just like you look at what Brian Hartline has done
Mhm.
preparing these wide receivers to go into the league. There's not a whole lot of learning curve for these guys. Like Emeka Egbuka took over the league immediately last year.
Yep.
He did hit a little bit of a rookie wall later in the season, but he came in pro ready. We've seen that with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. They haven't all turned out to be superstars, but they've all come in and they've been pro ready. I do
Garrett
think that's what
Wilson's
they
the
like.
one. Chris Olave is the one. Jackson Smith and Jigba is
Right.
the one. So, I mean, they're all the one.
Even you go further back, like
Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin, yeah,
the one.
exactly. And he was a third-round pick.
So I've been racking my brain for my comp for Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
And Santonio Holmes was a guy, is another Ohio State guy, right?
I believe so, yeah.
But I've finally hammered down who he reminds me of. And if you think I'm an idiot, that's fine. Get in line. But it's not an Ohio State guy. It's a Georgia guy. All right. AJ Green is who he reminds me of. Okay. AJ Green's a little taller, 6'4", but a 4'5" guy.
Yes.
But what else does AJ have? Really big catch radius. And so he reminds me a lot of AJ. And we'll see if he can be AJ Green, then you're in business.
Right.
And I'm not saying he is AJ Green. I'm saying the body type, the way he plays, that's what he reminds me of.
And AJ Green was the 4th overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals back in 2011.
Boom.
Let's see, what was his stats? And if we're going to look, the stats are really similar between AJ Green and Carnell Tate. Let me get up Carnell Tate's stats real quick because I want to see how close this is. It is funny though, when you look up AJ Green college stats, do you know who comes up first?
No.
The college basketball player for Northern Iowa for some reason,
So did AJ played with? Did he play with Stafford?
Yes, at least 1 year.
Okay.
So final season, and it was in 9 games for AJ Green instead of 11 for Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
But AJ Green in his final season, 57 catches, 848 yards, 9 touchdowns.
Carnell missed 4 games.
Yes, but
so
AJ Green played 9 games. Carnell Tate played 11.
Oh, okay.
But Carnell Tate, I think, sat for a lot of the second half of some of those games.
Yeah.
AJ Green, 57 catches, 850 yards, 9 touchdowns. Carnell Tate, 51 catches, 875 yards, 9 touchdowns in his final season. So if you're looking at the production, I think you can say, all right, there is a guy that could be a comp for top 5 pick who didn't have the ridiculous amount of production that you kind of expect. From
and guys. Also not a burner at 4.5,
right?
But a pro ready receiver, which is what AJ Green was when he came in.
Right.
So AJ Green's rookie year, 65 receptions, 1,057 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Sign me up.
Yep.
That's basically Ted McMillan's rookie season, which is what I said I think I would expect from Carnell Tate.
We'll see. Like I said, this may be a ridiculously stupid comp,
but it is funny to look at the stats. Like neither of them ever had 1,000-yard receiving yard season in college. And their last season, the stats are pretty similar. They're 4-5 guys.
Let's see. Who did Carnell Tate play with? Played with Jeremiah Smith last year, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka the year before.
Yep.
Okay. And by the way, the year before that, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And Marvin Harrison Jr.
And
5745 points out Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the only example of a guy who hasn't come in and really lit it up.
Yeah.
He's still a good receiver.
But the expectations are insanely high. Also because his name is Marvin Harrison.
Yes.
But yeah, he's been what you would consider a disappointment, but still been decent.
I will. We can get to this actually in the next segment because there was one comment about Carnell Tate in the Albert Breer article that I thought was really funny.
Okay.
And I don't understand how it has anything to do with making the pick. Not again. I like the Carnell Tate pick. I would have taken Arvell Reese if again, with the limited information I have compared to them, I would have gone with Arvell Reese. But I do think Carnell Tate, you get yourself a possible wide receiver 1 and a running mate for Cam Ward. The stat that's been going around is first overall pick quarterback followed by top 5 wide receiver in the modern era. David Carr, Andre Johnson. and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Those are the only
those
other
two
times it's
receivers are
happened.
both pretty good.
Yep.
Look, and I know we have to go to break, but if you're the Titans and you think that Carnell Tate was hands down the number one receiver on the board, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when people ask you to draft grades and stuff,
I hate them.
well, I hate doing it. But inevitably people ask you have to do it. But what are we grading them on? Are we grading them on draft value? Are we grading them on draft what we perceive as talent? Are we grading them on did they get who they wanted? Because I think that's the most important thing to me.
The Jaguars got everyone they wanted.
Did you get who you want? Because that if you got who you want, then you had a successful draft. Now, are those players any good?
Right.
That's what it has to be seen.
Yeah, I agree with that too. 615-737-1025. We'll continue talking about the decision to take Carnell Tate at number 4. We'll get into the deeper rounds of the draft later in the show as well. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up on 102.5 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Norfolk Tides, the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles, at First Horizon Park with first pitch at 6:35. You can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Digging into the Titans draft, Carnell Tate at number 4. And Albert Breer put out an article talking about the Titans' decision, said it came down to Carnell Tate and Arvell Reese. Here is a quote from this article that just made me laugh, because this was the narrative after the combine about Carnell Tate too. Here's what Albert Breer says. The jumping off point here is the Titans had Tate in the mid 4.4s in the 40-yard dash at the combine, significantly ahead of the 4.53 that the electric clock got him at. Ridiculous. Like, they have put together a perfect environment to run the 40. Everybody's the same. Yeah. It's laser timed. I don't care what your stopwatch had them at, right? Like, that should not be a factor in drafting a player. Draft Carnell Tate because you think he's the best receiver in the draft, not because your finger on the stopwatch got there 0.1 seconds faster.
Well, it's not even 0.1. We're talking about like 0.7.
Yeah, I guess that's true. The mid 4.4. So yeah, like,
so, I mean, like, so look, whether he's a 4.46 or a 4.52, I don't care.
Right.
I mean, you're in that same ballpark. And again, nobody ever caught Jerry Rice with the football. And I think he was like a 4.6 guy.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, I think, was a 4.6 guy too.
What was Anquan Bolden? Like 4.7? And he was awesome. I mean, some guys are good at space.
4.71.
Yeah, some guys are good at space. Some guys are good at combat. Some guys are good at creating space.
Right.
And that's why ultimately you have to look at the tape.
Yes.
You have
see
to look
how
at
fast
the tape.
he plays.
And we had this discussion about Ruben Bain. Yes, the arms are an issue, but you have to look at the tape. The Bucks got a steal at 15.
Steal. I agree. I did not think he was going to fall to 15. I thought he would be borderline top 10. I was thinking like 11, 12, 13 is where he'd end up. When the Dolphins came on the clock, I was thinking, that makes a lot of sense. Keep him in Miami. They went offensive line with Caden Proctor. But Ruben Bain, the outlier was why he fell in the draft. With Carnell Tate, like 4.53, it's not fast. But how many burners have we seen that fail in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, he is a 4.445 guy.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
And
he's not known as a burner. He's not. I mean, what's Terry McLaurin? What's Terry McLaurin's for? I'll bet he's like a 4.48 or something like that.
He ran a 4.35.
Okay, I stand corrected. I stand corrected. I just never viewed him as a burner.
What was Jackson Smith-Njigba? Because like he's not a burner either.
No, he's a great route runner.
More, he's a route runner, and he can win down the field. Yeah. But he ran a 4.53, exactly the same as Carnell Tate.
I will take Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Right. And that's why I don't care about.
And by the way, he was the first receiver off the board in that draft.
Yes, he was. At number 20.
Right? No, he was like 11 or 12.
No, he's 20.
No, he was right after Peter.
Smith-Njigba fell to 20.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Look it up.
He didn't, Jake.
Yes, he did.
It's like 12 or 11.
No,
he was the pick after Skoronski.
No, he was not. I know it for a fact. He fell to 20.
I'll bet you a couple.
The 20th pick in the 2023 NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks picked Jackson Smith.
I still think that's wrong.
I'm reading it right now.
I do too. There's no way that's right.
Jahmyr Gibbs was the pick after Peter Skoronski.
Okay.
Then Lucas Van Ness, Broderick Jones, Will McDonald, Emmanuel Forbes, Christian Gonzalez, Jack Campbell, Kalijah Cansey, Jackson Smith.
I owe you a cup of coffee next week.
Hey, there are a lot of teams after Peter Skoronski and before JSN went that wish they took Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah.
Right? Like I bet the Packers wish they took him over Lucas Van Ness, and the Commanders.
But the Packers never make mistakes. They always draft perfectly.
The Commanders took Emmanuel Forbes, who I don't think has played for them in 2 years.
Is he like a stockbroker or something?
No, he plays for the Rams now.
Oh, okay.
But he was the super skinny Mississippi State cornerback.
Oh.
Never worked out. But JSN signed me up for that. And I know there are different types of receivers.
And did he go 20th because he ran a 4.53?
Maybe.
So this is my point. Watch the tape. What did JSN do in the Rose Bowl?
Broke every possible record that you could. Yes. He set the Ohio State single game and FBS bowl record for receiving yards with 347 in the Rose Bowl win, which was his freshman year, I want to say, or maybe it was sophomore year. He was. I wanted JSN so bad when the Titans came on the clock at 11, and like Peter Skoronski has panned out, but that one I always thought that they should have taken JSN, and
Yeah.
you had to go offensive line. The offensive line was abysmal, but man.
Yeah.
Man. And we'll see. Carnell Tate, again, different type of receiver than Jackson Smith and Jigba, but it does show you that
he's AJ Green.
4.53 speed it's not slow, but it's also not fast.
No, it's fast enough.
It's fast enough. I don't understand the having to put that in the article. The Titans hand timers had him at in the mid 4.4s.
4.47.
Right. Like,
that's a difference.
That was the real difference. If they had him at a 4.51, they were going Arvell Reese, but the hand timers got him in the mid 4.4s, and that's what made the decision.
Chris Johnson, what do you run? 4.21, something like that?
4.28.
4.28. Okay. I saw that on the field.
Right.
I saw that. I saw the difference between 4.28 and 4.45 on the field. All right. I've seen that. And by the way, he also played that fast. Not everyone who is that fast plays that fast. He played that fast. But there are plenty. We said a bunch of the guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jerry Rice, and Quan Bolden.
Right.
Who, what did Deebo Samuel run the 40 in?
We're going to get all 40 times for all 4.48. Okay. So right around the time the Titans hand timed him at.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's plenty of guys who've been successful in that time range. That is a non-factor for me. Carnell
Tate going to have high expectations, and we talked about it. I would like to see 1,000 yards in his rookie season.
You take a guy that high goal.
It's lofty, but I 17 games, 1,000 yards. It's like 60 yards a game.
Yes, it is, and I agree with you. My only concern with him is not him. It's how many touches he gets, because Wan'Dale Robinson.
Right. Wan'Dale's got 90 catches a year for the last 2 years.
He's had 10 targets a game.
Right.
For 2 years. Now, how many targets is he getting with the Titans? I don't know. I mean, Malik Neighbors got hurt. So,
yes.
I mean, Malik Neighbors is healthy. How many touches is he?
What we did look back, because Malik Neighbors' rookie season, and again, I would put Malik Neighbors in a different bucket of prospect than Carnell Tate. I think Malik Neighbors, you looked at and you said, all right, that guy looks like a future star. Under Brian Daboll, though, in his rookie season, 170 targets, 109 catches, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. Not saying Tate's going to do that, but we did see with Wan'Dale Robinson still having 90 catches 2 years ago, Malik Neighbors got 170 targets with what? Russell Wilson? No. It was Daniel Jones and was it Danny DeVito as his quarterbacks in his not Danny DeVito. if
you think
Diego, sorry,
if you think Diego Papi is too short,
I was thinking Danny Dimes and mixed it with Tommy DeVito.
Danny Nichols.
Who was the quarterback for the Giants in 2024? I mean, Daniel Jones was there for part of it.
I think it's Tommy DeVito.
Daniel Jones and Drew Lock as his quarterbacks. And Malik Neighbors had 109 catches that year. So, and Wan'Dale Robinson had 93 for 700 yards. So you have seen it before that Brian Daboll has gotten these young rookie receivers involved in his offense early. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tate is going to get 170 targets, but no. I think he's going to get, I would say probably close to 100. And if he catches 80 of those, that may,
my thing
75,
is 6 targets a game is 102 for the season.
Yeah.
Okay. And if he catches 65% of his passes, that's almost 70 receptions.
Right.
Okay. And so I think if you have like 68 catches for like 900 yards, that's a good year.
Yeah. I think 1,000 that's the goal. Yeah. But it's not a failure if he falls short of that.
Like again, it's just like the saying, look at tape. What does it look like?
Right.
What does it look like?
Yeah, you can't scout box scores. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text line. Much more to get into with the draft. We'll also talk March Madness expansion coming up in hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 125 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, second hour on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman joined live in studio by Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly at the controls. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Lots of Titans talk in the first hour. We'll get back into the Titans later in the show. But I did want to touch on Diego Pavia. Goes undrafted over the weekend, and, people love to pile on with Diego Pavia. He has become a polarizing figure.
Well, look, people don't like losing to Vanderbilt.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And, there was I said this, and I know Joe Rexroad wrote a piece about it too at The Athletic of I'm a little disappointed in the misinformation that was spread about Diego Pavia this weekend.
With the agent?
The agent stuff, like Pro Football Talk running with that without doing any research on it. And then the fake screenshot that was posted from his Instagram story that wasn't real of him saying, F the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And there were journalists who were tweeting it out like, hope this is fake. It's like, if you did some research, you'd know it was fake and you wouldn't be spreading it.
Don't spread it until you know.
Right.
And that's irresponsible.
And so I was disappointed with that, but I won't say I was shocked that Diego went undrafted.
I was pretty surprised.
I was surprised though, because, Adam Schefter had the article last week where he said when Pavia gets drafted, when he's going to hear his name called this weekend. And you saw some of the names of the guys who got drafted at quarterback.
Well, I mean, you look at the production.
Yeah.
And you look at the winning.
Yes.
And you're just like, really? But all 32 teams who did it, I have a theory on this. Okay. And it's got nothing to do. Does he have some growing up to do? Yeah. Did we all 100%. At that age? Yes, we did. But that's also part of the reason that makes him great.
Yes.
That stubbornness. Now he needs to lose with a little more humility and grace.
Yep.
I was not a particularly good loser at that time in my life, so I'm really no one to throw stones. But here's my theory on it, and it goes much the same way as Shedeur Sanders. Why didn't Shedeur Sanders go until the 5th round last year?
Because he was going to be a distraction wherever he went.
That's right.
Yep.
And so the concern with Pavia is that, teams say, hey, are you ready to come in and back up this guy? No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
They ran with that story multiple times during the draft coverage.
It's true, though. You don't want a backup who's there at quarterback, that is, to unnerve the starter.
Yep.
Now, he's not going to unnerve Lamar Jackson if he gets signed to, well, he's signed, but if he sticks with the Ravens.
Right.
All right. He wouldn't be a problem for Joe Burrow. He wouldn't be a problem for Josh Allen. But for Bryce Young, he's probably a little bit of a problem. Am I wrong?
No, you're probably right. And I know that there was at least interest in Diego Pavia from Carolina. He went on a visit there. That was reported.
Yeah.
So, I
just have too much voltage at the position. Too many people talking about the backup quarterback. Like, look, there's one quarterback I want to see play in this preseason. It's Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And I think the Ravens are a really good fit for him.
I do too.
And it started as a mini camp invite. He's now been signed. I don't know why the reports yesterday were like, oh, he's signing a 3-year deal with the Ravens. It's the regular undrafted free agent contract. And it's all 3 years.
And he could get cut this weekend.
Right. He has to make the team.
Yeah.
But I do think it's nice to see that the Ravens said, you know what, we want to make sure we lock this guy in. That is a quarterback room that is very thin. It's Lamar Jackson and known Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that's a great fit for him because you got another quarterback who can run with the football and throw it. He's not going to have a problem with you in the room. He's not, as far as being scared of you,
right,
or bothered that you're there to take his job. He's going to laugh at it, I'm sure. But I think it's a good fit for him. The thing that I missed right off the bat with this, and I should not have, was Jesse Mitchell.
I know. So I thought about that this morning as I got out of the car. I was scrolling through Twitter, and he was on Good Morning Football talking about Diego Pavia, and I was like, oh, yeah, like he worked for Clark. I'm sure that connection helped put this together.
100% the reason that he's there. That Clark told him, look, this is not you. And I think whoever brings Diego into the building is going to be like, oh, yeah, this was a steal. Because, everywhere he goes, his team loves him.
Yes, I agree with that. And he has been a winner everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
I think he's getting the opportunity to compete for the QB3 spot in Baltimore with Joe Fagnano, I believe, the UConn.
Yeah, okay, you say QB3. I think there's an opportunity for anybody in Baltimore
to be QB2.
To be QB2.
Yep. No, I agree with
Snoop
that.
Huntley is terrible. He's
not good. We saw that first
former Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley.
Yes.
Okay. He's terrible. Mitch Trubisky went to the Pro Bowl. Shedeur Sanders went to the Pro Bowl. At quarterback, it means absolutely nothing.
It is. I just love that because I think he threw 1 touchdown that year that he was a Pro Bowler, maybe 2, something like that. But no, you're right. We saw it firsthand. Even Brian Callahan was able to beat Tyler Huntley when he was the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins in that Week 4 Monday Night Football game 2 years ago. Tyler Huntley is not a good quarterback. And I do agree with you that Diego Pavia is likely going to get his chances in the preseason to go out there and try and compete for the backup quarterback job. Is it likely that he wins the backup quarterback job? I would say probably not, but it's definitely possible given the situation that he's in, the offense that they run there. I do think Pavia has put himself, for an undrafted free agent, that's a pretty good spot to end up, is in the Baltimore Ravens quarterback room.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, I think it was yesterday on Sports Extra Daily, they're like, do you think this humbles Pavia? And I said, no. Absolutely. He is the one guy that this will not humble.
Right.
Because he has been through this.
Yes.
Coming out of high school. All right. Going to New Mexico.
And being the backup at New Mexico Military Institute.
Okay. And then coming to Vanderbilt, where everybody's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then going to, and not winning the Heisman despite putting up ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
And, look, he's been through it. He's been doubted every step of the way. And he is defiant in it. And again, that's why I say he needs to learn to handle it publicly with a little more grace, but internally it's all just fuel.
Yes.
And so do I think this will humble him? Hell no. No.
I think it'll light the fire even more. And we will see what happens in the preseason. Again, there's no guarantee Diego even makes it to the preseason roster.
Makes it out of this weekend.
They shuffle the rosters at the bottom so much over the next couple of months. It's like, hey, we're going to bring in this free agent who's still out there on the market. We got to cut somebody at the bottom of the 90 to make sure we're compliant with the rules. So Diego Pavia doesn't really have any guarantees heading into this, but he's going to get an opportunity to go
every
out there
day
and
is a
prove
tryout. But look, I heard all the stuff about how short he is. And yes, he's short. There is no question about it. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, also short. Johnny Manziel, also short. These guys all got drafted really high.
Right.
Even Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. They all got to play. They've all overcome being 5'9", 5'10". I think he can too.
2161 says, plain and simple, Diego didn't get drafted because the NFL didn't want Johnny Manziel 2.0. It's
not accurate.
It's not accurate at all.
It's not accurate.
Johnny Manziel was a 1st-round pick, and Johnny Manziel, a more talented player than Diego Pavia.
Well, but he also had substance problems.
Right. There was much more off the field issues with Johnny Manziel than there were Diego Pavia, and he still went in the 1st round.
The two are not comparable.
I mean, I was surprised he didn't get drafted when Baron Morton heard his name called, and Ethan Kaliakmanis, whatever the Rutgers quarterback heard his name called.
So, are we gonna get like what's the ESPN special shows that
30 for 30?
Are we gonna get ESPN 30 for 30 on all the quarterbacks taken instead
there you go.
of Diego Pavia and the 2026 NFL
draft?
draft?
Diego can do the same thing.
He'll probably list every one of them.
Well, is it Amon-Ra St. Brown who he remembers every wide receiver taken before him, including the great Des Fitzpatrick?
Yeah,
and
straight it up for.
And he tried to make that his number in the NFL, but miscounted. So I think it was 13,
so he's 14.
But he's 14. He accidentally added one more. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And all of our off-season coverage is brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks. Finely tuned craft beer for finely tuned fans. Tennessee Brewworks, official craft beer of the off-season coverage on 1025 The Game. We'll continue going through the draft. A couple more Tennessee players were drafted. Eli Stowers was drafted. We'll talk about that and much more here in hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Celebrate Cinco de Mayo early with 102.5 The Game at Social Cantina in Germantown. This Saturday, there will be music from 3 to 6 p.m., drink specials, swag giveaways, raffles, and patio party vibes all day long. Grab your crew and celebrate Cinco de Mayo the right way at Social Cantina. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Going through some of the Vanderbilt players who heard their name. Well, only one heard their name over the weekend. Diego Pavia is signing a 3-year.
Well, he heard his name. It's not the draft.
Yes, yeah, that's true. His name was spoken, it just not by somebody at the podium. He signed an undrafted free agent deal with the Ravens after the initial minicamp invite. But Eli Stowers goes in the he went 54th, 52nd to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's a really good fit for him.
I think it's a good fit for them and a good fit for him. They've
Yep.
got Dallas Goedert on his way out.
Yep.
And he doesn't have to be the guy, because you've got Mekhi Lemon. All the eyes are going to be on Mekhi Lemon.
And Devontae Smith's still there.
Yeah. And so he gets to just kind of slide in and kind of work his way in.
Yep.
And hope that his quarterback could actually throw him passes, because that's the struggle there. But I like the Eagles draft a lot.
Yep.
And I thought the Chiefs should have made Stowers a priority.
Yes.
Really,
I agree.
Who did they take in round 2? Do you know? And because I think the Eagles got 2 steals at 20 and 54 to get Lemon and Stowers. I think that's a great day.
R. Mason Thomas was their pick, the pass rusher out of Oklahoma.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And I thought the Titans' wait between picks was long.
Yeah.
At 60 to 142. The Chiefs picked R. Mason Thomas at 40 and did not pick again until 161.
Wow.
120 picks. But they did.
Again, these people know more than I do. But if I got my choice between a maybe edge rusher and Eli Stowers, and I know I've got Travis Kelce at the end of the line.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been an easy choice.
No, I'm excited to see what Stowers does. And, if it wasn't obvious before, the Eagles going wide receiver and receiving tight end in the first 2
AJ's
rounds.
gone. Yeah.
AJ Brown is not going to be an Eagle
Yeah.
later this year, likely going to be a Patriot.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I don't know how much production Eli will have this year. I don't know how many snaps he'll get.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Dallas Goedert is still on that team.
Right.
And so, he could catch 35 balls for 500 yards.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you look similar to Gunnar Helm-ish season from last year. Helm had 44 catches for 400-something yards?
Yeah, I just expect his yards per catch to be bigger.
Yes, yeah, that's true. I think less receptions, but maybe more explosion.
So he may not have a lot of volume, but I think also, he's still new to the position.
Right.
So I think, working his way in is not the worst thing. And, I don't know how much they're going to ask him to block, and we'll see how good he can do it at the NFL level.
On the other side for Tennessee, they had 4 players get drafted over the weekend. Colton Hood was second-round pick to the Giants.
Giants really walked into some picks.
Yes. I mean, I thought Colton Hood, with all the Jamad McCoy injury stuff, I thought he was probably cornerback 2 or 3, and he went off the board,
37?
30. Yeah, so just outside the first round. I think it's a good pick for the Giants.
Great pick.
And then later in the draft, Chris Brazzell goes to the Panthers. I like that pick for them.
And, with Hood also, you don't have the pressure of being a first-round pick now.
Yeah.
It's a different world being a first and a second.
I
It
agree.
just is.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's, in the end, good for him.
Right. You can look back to the Titans when they traded out of the first round in 2022. They got the Burks pick, obviously, from the A.J. Brown trade. But with their own pick, they traded out and took Roger McCreary in the second. Did Roger McCreary ever have that high of expectations around here?
No.
And he was a good player.
Yeah.
He was, but it wasn't
He
like
didn't have that pressure.
you never really viewed Roger McCreary as like, oh, this guy, he's got to be a future cornerstone piece. Like, he was just a really good player. And I think Colton Hood will be, I mentioned this when I went on with Julian on Sunday, that they thought they were getting Cordell Flott back, right? That was the story that came out.
Instead, they got Colton Hood on a rookie deal.
Right. And
that's pretty good.
I think that's a solid replacement for John Harbaugh there on the outside.
Yeah, I do too.
Brazzell goes in the 90s to the Panthers.
Which is great for him because he doesn't, he gets to be a complimentary piece
to Tet McMillan. And they still do have Xavier Leggett over there. I thought maybe there was a chance he would get traded this offseason.
Well, that's not over yet.
Right, you can still see moves. There's definitely time for changes to be made there. And then also saw, of course, Jermon McCoy was the first pick off the board on day 3.
Yeah.
His slide finally stopped. And I was just wondering when does the risk reward even out? And because obviously with
I would have thought sooner.
I thought so too. I mean, the reports, it is serious, right? The bone plug that they put in with surgery might have to be replaced. And if that surgery is unsuccessful, his career might be over.
Yeah. Look, if he misses this season and you have him for the next 3, it's still a great pick.
Yes. But of course, the risk there is what if the surgery goes wrong and he never plays for you?
Yeah.
And so that's the risk he had to take. I do think that when you're looking at Jermon McCoy as a prospect, Mansour Delane went 6th. I think Jermon McCoy is a better cornerback prospect than Mansour Delane.
Before he got hurt, he was viewed as a top 5 pick.
Yes.
I do want to say, and because I think it needs to be pointed out, how awesome he was in accepting his draft position.
Yeah.
He was so gracious, so thankful, so humble, which I don't know if I could have been, because like he lost millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars.
And just the waiting game through nights 1 and 2, where there was still thought on night 1 of
end of the first.
Could somebody trade back in or get Jermon McCoy at the end of the first round? And then day 2, he was the top guy on the board the entire night on day 2. That's got to be tough for him waiting around.
Well, and to sit there and just say, hey, I am grateful someone picked me.
Yep.
I mean, his reaction should be like every agent should have that on a reel and say, this guy was a projected top 5 pick at one time. He went in the 4th round.
Yep.
Watch his reaction. I'm just letting you know, because the draft you never know how it's going to go. Be prepared to be this guy. You want to be this guy.
Yes. I thought he handled it with class, and now he gets the opportunity to go in and if he's healthy, maybe the Raiders get the steal of the draft with Jermon McCoy.
One of the biggest steals of the last decade.
Yes. I mean, and
right up there with Smith from Tennessee, the guard.
Oh, yes, Trey Smith. Yes, yeah.
6th round because of the blood clots.
Yes, and medicals are always a big part of it too.
Yep.
And I think maybe the league in general was scared of and we've seen it with Will Johnson last year. He fell out of the first round despite being probably a top 10 talent in the class. Caleb Farley was the warning sign for everybody of, hey, injured corner, knee and back issues, move him to the backboard. Like you cannot have him in the first round.
Don't get me started on that one again.
See, and I love the pick when it happened. I know a lot of people.
Yeah, but you're a Virginia
I know,
Tech guy.
and it's just because I watched him be.
When we did our draft shows, we said there's one person the Titans cannot draft.
You said Caleb Farley.
Caleb Farley is it.
See, and I wish they would have taken the other Hokie in that draft class who went 1 pick later, I want to say, Christian Darrisaw, who's now the franchise left tackle of the Vikings.
Yeah, would have worked.
But I did love it because watching Caleb Farley when he was healthy, he was a top 5 pick in that draft if he was healthy.
That's irrelevant.
But no, obviously looking back, I was wrong.
It's one thing to have a knee injury. It's another thing to have a back injury.
Yeah.
It's another thing to have them both.
Well, yeah. So he tore his ACL right when he got to college and missed his whole freshman year. He was a wide receiver at that point, flipped over to corner, then had 2 really great seasons, and then the back issues plagued him during that COVID year. I covered his pro day, and I remember listening to him talk about it, and he didn't seem all that concerned, but obviously
I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
Yes.
That was the quote from draft night.
That was the quote.
One of the great Titans quotes of all time.
No, I mean, it's up there with the Lord needs to deliver me from pick sixes from Jameis Winston a couple years ago. Please, Lord, deliver me from pick sixes.
They never answered that.
No, they did not. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. More draft talk coming up in the 11 a.m. hour. But big news yesterday. There's been speculation for months, if not years, about March Madness expanding, and it looks like they are in the final steps of finalizing that for next year, up to 76 teams. We'll talk about that coming up next. 615.
By the way, I have a proposal on the expansion that I think you're going to like.
Okay, let's do it. We'll hear from what Cory thinks is best for March Madness expansion coming up after this. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 125 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Lots of draft talk today. We'll get back into the Titans coming up at the top of the hour. But news yesterday, Pete Thamel reporting that expansion of the NCAA tournament is imminent, up to 76 teams. The report yesterday was that the NCAA has initiated the final steps to expand the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments to 76 teams. The expansion is on track to be formalized in the upcoming weeks. The 76-team tournaments will begin next year. No one is asking for this, but I think expansion of the college football playoff and March Madness was always inevitable just because there's more money to be had.
Well, I think it's inevitable to get to 16 on the football side, and I think inevitably it's going to change from that to something else with the Big Ten and the SEC, but we'll see. On the basketball side, it's about money. It's about
selling
having
more games for the TV partners to show.
Okay, so we're establishing that it's not about need for more teams. It's about providing more games and making more money.
Right.
And so we established that. Okay, that's the way the world is. There is one aspect where I can defend it, and that is there are a lot more Division I teams than there used to be. A lot more.
Yep.
I think there's over 300 at this point.
Yes.
And before that number was barely over 200. So we've added a lot of teams. So even though you'll be at 76, you're still talking 1 in 4 teams.
Yeah,
one in 4, 1 in 5 teams making the tournament. Now, if you're thinking this is more opportunity for everyone, it is not. And this is designed for Auburn to get in. All right, this is designed for the Power 5 school that is 17-14, 6-12 in league play,
but has good metrics.
And we like the idea of putting Auburn up against Clemson more than we like the idea of Old Dominion playing Belmont.
Right. And I do think out of the 8 extra teams, on average, there will probably be 1, maybe 2 mid-majors who get added that weren't going to be in.
Maybe.
But you're right. It is mostly going to just add the 11th and 12th SEC teams.
Teams that are not good enough.
Right. Your 9th ACC team and your 13th Big Ten team is going to get in. And I figured it was going to happen, right? Like they wouldn't have been talking about this as much as they were if it wasn't actually going to happen. But it is disappointing because I do think they have a great product. Everybody loves March Madness.
Yeah.
Nobody has any problem with, oh man, there aren't enough games on Tuesday and Wednesday for me. That's basically all that's going to change. It's going to be 24 teams have to play in a play-in now instead of just the 8 that did before.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have 24 teams.
It's a first round bye for a lot of teams.
Right. It's a first round. Well, not even really. It's 54 teams get the auto bid to the first round instead of 60.
Well, it's the second round. Look,
I guess now, it's probably, you would probably view it as the second round.
Yeah. You've got enough teams now where that's the first round.
Yeah.
And all the top 54 get an auto bid, get a bye to round 2.
The top 76 minus 24, 52. The top 52 teams will get an automatic bid to the round of 64.
You get a bye.
And so, yes, you get more basketball and you'll get good games, I assume, because basically play-ins are going to be everybody who is not a top. I do wonder, what does the seeding look like? Are these play-in games going to be mostly the bubble teams, or are you going to have these mid-major conference champions have to play their way in, which I know people don't like that, and they say, oh, these 16 seeds should get the automatic bid. But
it's an opportunity for them to win
a game and get a share. Though the win shares count the same in the first 4 as they do in the round of 64.
And by the way, how much better are teams usually who've played a game and then play another team who has?
Right. Look at Texas.
Yes,
this year.
Exactly. I think there's something to be said for that. I look, as a person who went to a mid-major, I went to a mid-major that has had some success in the tournament in Southern Illinois.
Yep.
We were knocking on the door of the Elite 8, and so we've been close, and we've been seeded, I think, 8 or 9 one year, and that That was great. But I would say this, if we're going to be seeded 14, 15, 16, I wouldn't mind playing another 14, 15, 16 in the first round and then going and playing the 1, the 2, or the 3.
Yeah.
And getting my lunch handed to me. So, because I've seen both. But so I like the idea of, Tennessee State having a game they can win.
Yes.
And then going and playing. And then like, hey, we played in 2 tournament games. We went 1-1 in the tournament.
Right.
I mean, it's not any less of a victory. It's still an NCAA tournament victory.
So that's what I'm wondering. I don't know if we've seen the structure of how this is going to work, but like, is it going to be your 13 through 16 seeds are playing in, or is it your 7 through 11 seeds are going to be playing in? Like, it probably is a mix of both.
Probably, but I would rather it just be
right.
The 13 to 16.
I agree.
Well, it'll be what? How many more teams are we adding? 12?
8.
8. So it'll be to 18. We'll have 18 seats now.
Oh, yeah. No, well, it has to be 1 through 16 still, because eventually you get to the round of 64, but you're just going to have multiple of the doubles of like,
all right.
There's going to be 8, 10 seeds.
So instead of 2 16-16 games, we'll have 4 16-16 games.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, regardless. So I told you, I teased you.
Yeah, you have your plan.
I have a plan. I let you know what it is, and you've had some time to ruminate over it. And, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think if you're going to expand, all right, truly expand, and do an expansion that includes everyone. And the solution I have for it is every league gets an automatic bid. In most leagues, does the Ivy League give their automatic bid to the tournament winner? I think the Ivy League might do the regular season winner.
I think
no, it's their conference winner.
Yeah, tournament.
Tournament? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I think virtually every league gives it to the tournament winner. What if you give every league 2 automatic bids? Their tournament winner and their conference winner.
Yeah.
And then, you've expanded your field. You've allowed multiple teams to play their way into the tournament. Both those teams earn their way into the tournament. And you say, Cory, what happens if you double up? Well, that is a thing. And you could have it written in that the second place regular season finisher or the tournament runner-up gets the second bid. I would give it to the second place finisher.
I agree, because then you get to the championship.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it may not mean anything. Yes. And it could still not mean anything if it's first and second already.
Yes, that's true. But that rarely ever happens.
Right.
But so, you could go up to 96 or
yeah, so that's what I was thinking. If you did 96 with this, your top 32 teams would get buys.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 64 could be in the opening round.
Yep.
They play, and then you get down to 64 after that. So it would be 62 auto bids in that scenario, but you'd also be adding another automatic bid for all of the major conferences too.
That's my point. Is so you have about just as many at-larges.
It would be 34 at-larges instead of 37, which it is right now.
But all of the big leagues would already have a second
automatic bid.
So there would be more big teams getting in
right.
as well.
I honestly, I think I prefer that over 76, and maybe that's where things are trending. Right, bigger is always going to be better,
But I don't think they're ever going to do anything to invite more mid-majors. So I think that's just dreaming. I hate it, and I am always jaded by my freshman year of college. Southern Illinois, we went 25-7 and got left out because back then we played the tournament on campus sites, and we played at Illinois State that year.
So they had the home court advantage.
We played Illinois State. We won the regular season easily. And then we go to the conference tournament. We get to the championship game, and we lose by like 6 to Illinois State on their home floor in the championship game, and we don't get into the tournament.
Yeah.
Were we good enough to be in the tournament? Yeah. Would we have won in the tournament? Probably not. But we earned it. We deserved to be there. I went there. I can say that.
Yeah.
And so that is one that always gets me like, and this year, the talk about Miami of Ohio, will they get in? I'm like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Especially this year on both the men's and women's side. The bubble was weak. Like it was like you're looking for teams that you can put in, right? Instead of, oh man, we've got tough decisions because there are 72 deserving teams and we only have 68 spots. It was like, all right, we got 61 deserving teams. How are we finding these 7 teams that we want to put in?
I know I keep talking about Auburn, and I know they had the floor to win.
And they did win the NIT.
Great. But how many 30-point losses did they have?
Yeah, and basically they were getting so much credit for their strength of schedule when the reason their strength of schedule was good is because they got beat by 30 by all of these great teams that they played.
And that's I'm like, you did not win your way in. You didn't. I'm sorry. I know your schedule's tough. You know what? Go play Belmont.
Yeah,
they'd love to play you.
Right. If Auburn had beaten Tennessee over Bridgestone, maybe they would have had a chance to get in.
Yeah,
but
probably would have been.
It was the bubble has been weak. Not every year. Like there are years when it's really tough decisions between deserving teams. But when the bubble's already weak, it's like, hey, let's add 8 more teams to it. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't like it. We'll continue talking about this when we come back. 615-737-1025. We want your thoughts as well on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on your Wednesday morning. We'll get back into the Titans coming up at the top of the hour, but March Madness expansion looks like it is being finalized in the next month or so, and no one is happy about it, but it is going to
College
happen.
coaches are.
Well, yeah, college coaches
who are judged on if they make
right.
the tournament
If you
or
make
not.
the tournament, and you're going to have. I guess they don't put in like who would have been 76, but I guess Lunardi has like the next 4 out. I want to see who would have been the last team in if it was up to 76 teams this year.
Auburn.
Well, no, Auburn would have been the first team out. I want to know
okay.
like who would have been if it was 76. Who would have gotten in and been the last team in, and what was their
76?
resume?
It might have been like West Virginia. Seton Hall was in
Mount
there.
Mama?
Well, I hate it because bracketology out, so I can't find his
know
old
who's
one.
on everybody's team yet.
He has Tennessee as a 4 seed and Vanderbilt as a 7. And this came out after all of the portal editions. I'm really confused by that also. Anyway, I can't find it because not everybody does the next 4 out. But the 76th best team, it's just I don't think they're deserving to get in. But I will say I'm going to go into it with an open mind, even though I'm not happy about it. Of maybe this does make Tuesday and Wednesday appointment television for March Madness. I think that's what they're hoping for is that instead of the first 4, which for me, it was always something to have on in the background. And,
they can play games in the afternoon now.
Right. You do get 2 more full days because 24 teams will be playing. So it's 6 games a day.
Yep.
And they'll probably stagger them where you have
2, 2, and 2.
Or maybe they do kind of the Sweet 16 or the round of 32 where it's like noon to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
Be.
But I'm going to go in with an open mind because
True TV's loving it.
I do think it's one of those things where everybody complains about it and says we don't need this, but guess what? You're going to watch. And that's where.
Do you watch the playing games?
As I was saying, I kind of have it on the background.
Yes,
it's
but you're not really watching.
It's not something that I am like, all right, I got to sit down.
Look, I'm just going to tell you, if Skinwalker Ranch is on, I'm watching Skinwalker Ranch.
Right.
All right. I'm not going to watch Monmouth play, Eastern Illinois.
And what does...
You're not going to watch American and Lehigh?
No. I'm
Skinwalker
Ranch, man. I got portals.
Yeah. Fairleigh Dickinson.
And Skinwalkers.
And, Cleveland State doesn't move the needle for me.
Or, just pick the bottom of whatever league, Auburn versus.
Yeah, Auburn versus
Rutgers.
Or North Carolina.
I like it. Good shot.
But
North Carolina won the national championship this year. That point guard from Michigan went to North Carolina.
That's true. Should they start doing that, claiming titles for transfers who leave?
They're going to retire his number.
Virginia Tech got a top 10 draft pick this year in Mansour Delane. We'll hang the banner.
Okay. I will say this about college basketball. Like I said, I made one argument that there are a lot more teams.
Yes.
And
you're seeing more teams every year elevate to the D1 level.
And so you've got a lot more teams left out. And so you're expanding it, you're making it open to more teams. Okay. But again, I would like that being open to more conferences as well. And I'm doubtful that happens. The other thing I will say, though, is college basketball should get better. Now with NIL, more players are staying. 5 years ago, Nate Ament wouldn't have a decision. Tyler Tanner would not have a decision. They'd just be gone. All right. But now you're seeing a lot of those guys stay. And, for 1 or 2 more years or whatever, because they can make $1 million, $2 million.
Yeah.
And that makes college basketball better. You don't have these guys who are, total projects going into the draft. They don't need to. They can develop their game, get paid, play,
right,
not be the 10th man on the team. So we should have more good teams. Hopefully it's not as chalky as it's been.
Yeah. You hope that there's a trickle down here, right? Where it's like the transfer portal. Yeah, you're going to have your haves and have-nots, but you hope that the the top 8 seeds are all closer together.
Yeah,
even if
the volume of good players staying should start to spread. Like, I mean, we've seen it in college football.
right.
We've absolutely seen it in college football.
Yeah.
Indiana.
Indiana.
But the Big Ten's rise has coincided with NIL. All right.
Yep.
Because a lot of those SEC teams that were stacking 5 stars 2 and 3 deep, they're losing those guys. They're transferring.
Yep.
They're going. Justin Fields goes to Ohio State.
Right.
And that was before NIL.
Yeah, it was like Quinn Ewers was an example of he enrolled early at Ohio State. I think he got paid something for that for the first semester and then transferred back to Texas.
Yeah.
And
so you're going to see, we're seeing more of that. So we're seeing more good players get to play.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting on the bench, and more teams being good.
Yep.
And I think it's great. And I think we will start to see it should be easier in basketball because there's only 5 guys on the court.
Yes. It doesn't take a complete
roster
overhaul to change your team. Like, it does take a couple of years in football to get
Michigan just won the championship with 5 transfers.
Right. In basketball, as we've seen Mark Byington accomplish, like, you can go from a 9-win team to a tournament team in 1 year if you get the right players in the building.
Yeah, and we talked about this before the show because we were talking about Tennessee. It's the new template.
Yeah.
It's the new template. You start new every year. You figure out if anybody on your team is worth bringing back.
Yeah.
And because Tennessee, how many did they bring back on the men's side? 2.
2.
And the women's side, 0.
Yep.
Mark Byington brought back.
So far, it's the 2 freshmen, Bing and Leverett, are back. I think Okereke might still be working through eligibility and waiting on Tyler Tanner. So 4.
Not much.
Yeah.
They're not bringing him. They're cutting. They're like, look, you're not worth it. And they're moving on. They're telling you to go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
And, that's where that portal thing is. We all blame the players. Well, they're all chasing money, and a lot of them are. But look, if Rick Barnes wanted his players back, they'd be back.
Yeah.
They would spend the money to bring them back.
Right.
I mean, there's some of those guys we were surprised are gone. And frankly, they're gone because Tennessee didn't think they were worth what they thought they were worth.
Yep. No, and that's true. And that was what Parker said to me when all of the mass exodus was happening with Tennessee.
Yeah.
He said, if you don't tear it down to the studs, you can't bring in the elite players to get you over the hump, right?
Yeah.
Like, some of the players that they let walk.
You see, the Big Orange Caravan is today in Nashville.
Yeah.
And the one person I want to talk to is Kim Caldwell.
Yeah.
And I want to ask her, was this on purpose? Did you clear the slate? Was this what you wanted? Because you brought in the 5 stars and it didn't work. They weren't ready.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for you, and they weren't ready for college basketball. This isn't the Fab 5 we're talking about. All right. And now you're going and you're getting experienced college players who've been coached and know what they're walking into.
And maybe fit what she wants to do better than the 5 stars did.
Yes. And she's got proven college shooters coming in. And I'm intrigued. I know there are a lot of people piling on Kim Caldwell. I don't think she forgot how to coach. And I'm excited, to see what Shea Ralph's got this year with Michaela Blake's coming back. I'm excited to see what the Lady Vols are this year.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a fun rivalry between those 2 teams. And Vandy has gotten the upper hand, winning 3 straight in the rivalry, I believe, maybe for the first time ever.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But right now it's been Vandy State in women's basketball for the last 2 years. Obviously, it's short sample size. But Vandy looks like they're going to have a good team coming back, and we'll see what Kim Caldwell can do because she'll be on the hot seat heading into this year. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Back into the Titans after this. We talked a lot about Carnell Tate, but obviously there were 7 more picks that were made by the Titans over the weekend. We'll talk about the offensive line. Could there be more additions coming there? We heard from Dave Ziegler yesterday saying they could look to add in free agency. We'll also get into some of the other picks. Anthony Hill, Nick Singleton, Jackie Marshall, some of the other guys the Titans brought in. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Back into the Titans here in the final hour of the show. We talked a lot about Carnell Tate, the decision at number 4 for the Titans, but 7 more players added. Let's start with Keldrick Falk.
Okay.
I think Keldrick Falk is a really good fit for this Robert Saleh defense.
I agree.
He was mocked to be a top 20 pick. He fell all the way to 31. And the Titans,
a very traitsy pick.
Yes. They got a guy who is big. He is quick.
He is really tall.
He's 6'6",
yes,
right?
He's every bit of it.
Yes.
Now, he's still lean. If you want him to put on 15 pounds, there's plenty of space for that.
And he didn't produce as much as you would like his final year at Auburn, just 2 sacks. He did, I think if you watch the tape, I went back and watched a couple games of him. He was an impact player for that team, even though he didn't hit the quarterback. But when you take a guy in the first round, he's got to hit the quarterback. I do like the pick. I think with Robert Saleh, in that introductory press conference, he said he wants most of his defensive linemen to play about 60% of snaps. Falk is a great rotational piece for them because he can play outside on rundowns, inside on passing downs, and gives them not a clone to John Franklin Myers, but a guy who can do similar things to John Franklin Myers. And you can have both of them on the field at the same time. You can interchange them. It gives Robert Saleh options up front on the defensive front.
Well, John Franklin Myers is a lot stouter.
Yeah,
than he is. But he's 21 years old.
Right.
So it's the second year in a row, a guy on the edge is basically a developmental piece. And maybe calling him developmental isn't fair.
He did have a 7-sack season at Auburn,
and he's very good against the run.
Yes.
And again, he's a guy a lot of people have projected anywhere from 12 to 20. And
right.
So, because my reaction was, couldn't they have gotten him at 35? And the answer apparently is no.
They said, Mike Borgonzi said, he was the top player on our board. We didn't want to miss out on him.
And so, look, that's their job. That's their job. You go up and get that guy. He needs to be a starter for them without question. We'll see how prepared he is. Let me say this about the first 3 picks. When you look at the Titans board and how it sets up, okay, the first 3 picks, was Falk a 5-star?
I don't know.
He was a 4 or a 5-star.
Yeah. All 3 of those guys were highly recruited players.
Yeah. So I know Hill's a 5-star. And I
think Falk was a high-end 4-star.
Okay, and I know the Tate was a 5-star.
Yes.
So, and what are they all? They're all guys who came in, they didn't redshirt.
Yep.
They played immediately. They played 3 years, stayed at the same school,
and left early,
and went to the NFL.
Yep.
And when you look at the back end of the Titans draft, Singleton and the offensive lineman, those are guys, they're older.
Experienced.
Yep. They're ready to go. They're going to be older when it's time for their second contract, so maybe they don't get one. But these guys, when their contracts are up, are going to be 25 years old and should just be hitting their prime.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it, as with the early picks, they went for high ceiling.
Yes.
All of those guys have big athletic traits.
Yes.
They're young and they're going to develop. Later in the draft, they went for players they think can contribute, right?
They went, okay, this is what you are. This is what you're going to be, and we feel good about it.
Right. You can come in here and you can make an impact on our team, even if you're not going to be a superstar.
Yeah. We're not projecting anything on these guys.
Yes.
This is what they are.
Right.
But the first 3 guys are all projections. All were projections out of high school. All pretty much achieved that in college.
Yeah.
And we're projecting them to continue that upward
arc.
The
ascension.
Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting. Because we have all this talk about these 24 and 25-year-old guys that are coming out, and when their contracts are up, they're 29, 30 years old.
Yeah.
But the Titans' first 3 picks, they absolutely went blue chips.
It's funny. Ian Safar pulled up Dane Brugler's way too early mock draft from last year. So around this time last year, looking ahead to the 2026 draft, they had Keldrick Falk as the 6th overall pick, Anthony Hill is the 12th overall pick, and Carnell Tate is the 13th overall pick. And it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, you go where you go based on what you did.
It means those guys were viewed as really talented.
It showed that even a year out, heading into their final year of college, the NFL world viewed those guys as possible blue chip talents.
Yes.
And to get those guys in the top 60, I think all of them are going to be cornerstone pieces for this team.
Yes.
And that's what Mike Borgonzi is looking for. Guys who are going to grow, and they're going to end up being...
They all need to start. right now.
Right. Yes, they all should be starters. Carnell Tate, by the end of the year, should be your no doubt wide receiver one.
Yep.
I think Keldrick Falk, with the way Saleh uses his defensive line, I don't think you can assume he's going to be like an 8 to 10 sack guy in year one, but I think you expect 5 to 6 sacks in year one from Keldrick Falk.
With that. I like if he got 5 or 6, I'd be okay.
And then I think Anthony Hill needs to be your green dot middle linebacker right off the bat.
Why does he need to take the green dot from Cedric?
I just think, and I guess the green dot doesn't have to be the middle linebacker, but it usually is.
Yeah.
I think Hill fits more of what Saleh wants at the mic rather than Cedric is going to play the will.
Okay. And just Cedric's going to massacre the run.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you look at Jermaine Johnson, Jeffrey Simmons, John Franklin Myers, Keldrick Falk up front.
Yeah, no one should run the ball on this team.
Like Cedric Gray is just going to be able to come in and clean up.
Yeah. That's what, everybody, and I understand why they drafted Hill and I like him, but Cedric Gray was really good last year. And I think that gets lost in this.
Yes. And I feel really good about Gray and Hill playing next to each other.
Yeah.
I would have felt less great about Hill and Barton being your starting inside linebackers. Gray and Barton.
We knew they were going to take a linebacker. It was just where.
Right.
It was just where.
And they went high end. I mean, Hill was the third linebacker off the board.
There was talk, the kid from Cincinnati, his name was coming up a lot.
Yes. I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah.
But yes, he was brought up. Jacob Rodriguez was the second linebacker off the board. But Hill, you mentioned it. I mean, 5-star guy. He produced at Texas, not only as an off-ball linebacker, but they used him as a pass rusher too.
Yeah, he was a very good pass rusher.
Ziegler did say yesterday in the press conference, the assistant GM said that they're going to use him off the ball. But he's a good blitzer too.
Yeah.
And I know Robert Saleh
can move guys around. It's allowed.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And the Albert Breer article that I was looking at earlier, there was an interesting note at the very bottom that said the Titans plan on using Hill the same way they would have used Arvell Reese if he was the pick. And I don't think Reese would have been put on the edge immediately. He would have been an outside linebacker
he would have.
that they would have moved around. You put him in the joker, the spinner that Mike Borgonzi talked about. So maybe Hill is used in that role as well.
I mean, look, he's a second-round pick. There's no escaping that. But I'm sure there are people that feel like they got first-round talent.
Yep.
I mean, just like with Kevin Winston last year.
Yes.
They got him in the third round, felt like he'd been healthy. He would have been a first-rounder. So, you're getting high-end talent. There's no one who does not like that pick.
No, I think that was universally liked by Titans fans. There was,
and I think all the analysts like that pick. I think some people have viewed that as the biggest bargain in the draft.
Yeah, and there were reports that if the Titans didn't trade up to get him, they wouldn't have gotten him. It was I'm blanking on his name. He covers the Broncos out in Denver.
Oh, they were going to take him.
He said
Legwold?
No. Oh. I'll find it during the break. But he reported that the Broncos were going to take Hill.
Dave Kliss?
No. I follow
I'm
him.
giving you all my Denver people,
and I cannot think of his name. But he said the Titans leapfrogged Denver to get him. So you wouldn't have been able to get him if you didn't trade up. They felt convicted. They went up and got the player at the end of the second.
You
round.
missed out on a 4th-round pick, but you got 3 guys who you think are starters immediately.
Yes,
and are high-end talents.
Yes,
and so there's not a lot to argue with that unless the players aren't good.
Right. Yeah, you still have to pick the right players, but I do like the process from Mike Borgonzi and the way they attacked the draft this year. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's get into the offensive line coming up next because they did address the O-line later in the draft.
Which is what we thought they would do.
Yes. I think you thought they would have a pick at 101, but they used that to move up for Keldrick Falk. So
you know who went 101?
Jermod McCoy went 101.
So
you thought you would have a pick in the 4th round. You ended up not being able to pick until the 5th round. Got Fernando Carmona out of Arkansas, Pat Coogan later at Indiana. Do the Titans have enough on the offensive line heading into year 2 of Cam Ward? 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Diving back into the Titans draft class, we talked about the early picks, Carnell Tate, Keldrick Falk, Anthony Hill. Titans did make some moves on day 3, did not get to make a pick until the 142nd pick in the 5th round, but addressed the offensive line. Brought in Fernando Carmona, the guard from Arkansas. They brought in Pat Coogan, the center from Indiana. But I think it left a little bit more to be desired. You didn't get somebody who is an immediate plug-and-play starter on the interior of the offensive line, and you're very thin at tackle. Dave Ziegler, the assistant GM, speaking yesterday, talked about the possibility of adding more on the offensive line. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I think with the group that we have now, obviously we signed Volson, who years in Cincinnati before having an injury. And so, we like the experience that he brings. We like his size. We like his toughness. Jackson Slater is going to be here in year 2. So we're excited to see what his development is in the spring. And, we drafted a couple guys. And so, there's a level of competition that's still going to be taking place there. And then there's an element for us to continue to, whether it's offensive line or other positions, continue to look to improve it. Like our free agency is over and the draft's over, but there's still an element of different areas of the team that we are going to continue to add competition to. And I think offensive line will be one of those positions, along with some other ones. And so I would say we're going to give those guys an opportunity. They have the opportunity this spring to prove themselves and to, earn the trust of the offensive staff and have an opportunity to secure a role, but we're also going to look to bring competition in. And if we can improve a position, we'll improve it. In terms of, hey, like you got to be fluid in this business with plans, and so, free agency, when you go into free agency, obviously it's, people have different options and there's money involved and, things of that nature. So, the chips fall where they fall, and you got to make the decisions that you make to bring the players in. There's, a lot of different moving parts in free agency because you're talking about cash and money, and, we signed a lot of players. And
so that was Dave Ziegler yesterday. And I think there's a few things to unpack there. I'll start at the very end. The way he framed money is involved and guys have multiple options in free agency tells me that they did try and bring in multiple veteran options at center and right guard, and they just didn't get any of them.
Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, well, yeah, Linderbaum, $27 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they took a swing at him.
I would have probably been disappointed if they didn't at least kick the tires on that, right? Like
they were probably willing to go to like 21 or 22 or
right.
something.
But they went astronomical.
Yeah.
The center market went up 50% in one offseason, and they didn't match what the Raiders were able to offer. I do think that they wanted to add more on the interior offensive line. I will say, though, another thing that stood out to me there is he's asked about the offensive line. First name he brings up was Cordell Volson. And I'm starting to wonder if they view him as the starting right guard. I think there's going to be competition there, and like Slater might work at center and right guard, and Carmona now in that room. But Volson is a guy who started nearly 50 games in his NFL career. And I wonder if they view him as the starter at right guard at the beginning, and if Slater passes him, so be it. But they may have a higher expectation for Volson than many fans do.
Look, I think they've got 5 guys there we're talking about right now.
It's 5 guys for 2 spots.
And I think that the hope is you've got 2 starters in there.
Yep.
And they'll go to camp. I mean, not training camp. They'll go to mini camp in OTAs. They'll see what they've got. Carmen Brasillo will look and see what he's got. And from there, he will make a judgment to those guys and saying, hey, we've got 1 starter here. Hey, we've got 2 starters here. Hey, we don't really have any starters here.
Right. And maybe that's when Kevin Zeitler's phone starts ringing.
And exactly. Kevin Zeitler, I'm sure there's other free agents out there. There's guys that will get cut that they may have their eyes on. And that will be that. But I think whether they're starters or not, they've got guys they think can start.
Yes.
All right. So, look, if it has to be Schlotman and Slater, or Schlotman and Volson, or Slater and Volson, they feel like we'll be okay.
Yeah. Which isn't
but-
great.
No, it's
right?
not great. It's not great. But they weren't going to get forced into a contract they didn't want to write.
Yeah.
And I get that. Does that mean there aren't guys like that they could have brought in that I think could have been more reasonable? Yeah. But that's me. They know more than I do. But so yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think this spring is a hashing out period. Let's see what we've got. Because I liked Jackson Slater last year.
Yeah.
And he's had, coming from Sacramento State, this is a big leap up. And so he's had a year to work on his body and to work on the compete level. I mean, look, he goes against Jeffrey Simmons in practice.
Yeah.
So,
you're going to get, against this defensive line, he's going to get tested every day in training camp.
He's practiced against Simmons. He practiced against Devondre Sweat. He practiced against all those guys. So he's had a chance to get a year better when he played against the Jaguars. He did not do poorly. So, we'll see if he's got it, and we'll see if these rookies can come in and challenge. I mean, Carmona's a Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's a big dude.
He's huge. And Coogan has played a lot, and he's got all the intangibles.
Yeah.
It's just, is he physically up to the job? Well, and they're going to get a chance to show it. And
I think you're right of Schlotman and Volson are your safety nets, right?
Yeah.
Like Schlotman worked with Daboll, worked with Brasillo last year. He's got 18 career starts, I want to say. And then Volson has started 50 games in his career. He was a starter throughout basically his entire time with Cincinnati. He got hurt last year.
Yeah.
So those are your safety nets if none of the young guys are ready. But ideally, maybe not to start the season, but at some point in the year, ideally, it's Pat Coogan and Jackson Slater as your center and right guard.
I love that.
Because those are long-term solutions. Schlotman and Volson are Band-Aids. Like, you want to find...
they're not long-term solutions.
Right. If you come out of this year and feel good about Coogan and Slater or Coogan and Carmona or whoever it is as your center and right guard for the next 4 years, you've got four spots on your offensive line.
It could also be Slater and Carmona.
Right. Slater can play center too. Yeah. Like, if you can come out with the young guys winning those jobs, you feel better long-term about the offensive line. And now left tackle is like the only position that you're really worried about.
It also helps your cap number too, because you're going to have to pay Latham and Skoronski.
Yeah.
And, that's part of the, everybody wants them to, why aren't you willing to spend $27 million at center? Well, Skoronski needs a new deal.
Yes. Are you willing to pay $50 million plus for your center and left guard, knowing that hopefully your quarterback has to get paid in a couple of years?
Yes.
Your right tackle has to get paid in a couple of years.
You're going to need a left
Jeffrey
tackle.
Simmons is going to need an extension. So I agree with you that $27 million a year for Linderbaum was probably out of their price range. Clearly it was out of their price range. I will say tackle, if the way Ziegler was talking about it with adding players, I hope he was talking about tackle, because Dan Moore is your left tackle. J.C. Latham is your right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your swing tackle? Is it Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon? Is it Austin Deculus? Like, who is...
Well, it could be Carmona.
Carmona
played tackle till last year. They moved him inside last year.
I'm going to ask everybody's favorite question. How long are his arms?
Oh, well, I mean, he was a tackle until last year. So he has a lot of experience at that position. I'll just say this. He is viewed as a swing guard tackle.
Let's see. Carmona, 32 1/8 inch arms. That's not ideal.
What's the length you need? 34?
I think, well, let's see. What was Will Campbell's?
What was Skoronski?
Right. Will Campbell's arm length is 33 inches. That's short.
Yeah.
32 5/8 inches. So Carmona is shorter than that. I would say he's probably better suited at guard.
He is. I'm just saying he can play.
That's true.
Position.
I mean, yeah, in an emergency. I would just there are tackles out there that would be upgrades behind those two guys. There are questions of, are they going to sign up to be a backup? Like a name we brought up earlier this week. Jack Conklin's out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would immediately say, yeah, I'll come in to be your third tackle. But at some point, if you want to play.
What if they want to play guard?
Right. Yeah. Could he come be your right guard? And then if he has to bump out to tackle.
Yeah.
That's
a possibility.
Right. Like, I'm open to all options, but right now, Dan Moore and J.C. Latham both missed time last year. And Ali Udoh was fine. He wasn't good.
He's gone.
But you let him walk.
Yeah.
Who is going to be that backup plan if Moore or Latham get hurt again this year?
They've kind of put a priority on Crenshaw-Dixon.
Yeah, and they also signed Emil Wagner the left tackle for Notre Dame, who actually,
Okay. Yes, they did.
he was pretty good. He's an undrafted free agent. It's
Yeah.
not like you can say, yeah, all right, undrafted guy, that's our swing tackle. But I think they do at least have some young options that they think might have some growth potential.
Sure.
So, I think they need to add a veteran in that room. Maybe Conklin is a little bit too high, but there are other guys out there who, at the very least, if Latham goes down in training camp or Moore goes down in training camp, you're not thinking, oh crap, Cam Ward's going to be running for his life.
Well, Jack is at the point in his career, he may be like Zeitler. And I'm speaking for these guys, so this is not what they have said. I'm sure those guys would not missing out on OTAs in minicamp.
Right. Yeah. Zeitler honestly may have told the Titans, like,
call me at training camp.
Hey, I'm perfectly happy to come play for you, but I am not doing off-season program.
Yeah.
So
Call me in July. I'll be there.
We'll see. And they've gotten rookie mini camp starts on Friday. So you're going to get to see Coogan and Carmona out there.
Yep.
And, obviously it's rookie mini camp. It's not a big deal. They'll get to work in with the rest of the team throughout May. Right. Like it's going to be a process here. And the Titans are going to be able to find out what they have in these young guys. And maybe they look at it in July and they say, hey, we really like Slater. We really like Coogan. Sorry, Kevin, we don't need you. Yeah. But I do think Kevin
somebody
Zeitler
gets hurt, we'll call you.
I do think Kevin Zeitler is on the back burner as a break glass in case of emergency.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Couple other picks the Titans made that we haven't gotten to. We will talk some Nick Singleton coming up after this. What does that mean for the Titans at running back? Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. We got 30 minutes left in the show on this Wednesday. Going through the Titans draft class. Haven't gotten to Nick Singleton yet. Running back out of Penn State. Guy who's been reliable for them. Has been explosive at times. They take him late in the 5th round. What are your thoughts on the pick, Cory? And what do you think this means for the running back room? I said yesterday, I think this might be the end of Tajay Spears here in Nashville.
It's the end of somebody. Because, I mean, the 5th round pick, he's going to make the team.
Yep.
I'm surprised he didn't come out as a junior, frankly.
Yeah.
But he's played all 4 years. I mean, he has started 53 games in college and rushed for 3,400 yards, broke Saquon Barkley's career record. He is different from what they've got. 6 foot 225.
Right.
It's more of a Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp.
Size guy.
Yeah.
Not breakaway speed. I don't know what his 40 time is, but clearly can get into the secondary, but is not going to pull away when he gets there. So that would be one thing against him. But I think, if you want to hammer on a defense for 4 quarters, I think he's that guy, 20, 25 carries. And I think that the positional value is really good, taking him in the 5th round, because look, if things go right with this pick, he's your starter next year.
Yep. And that's the expectation, is that he is going to be the future of the running back room, right? Like Pollard is a free agent after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tajay Spears, if he's still on the team, is a free agent after next year. Michael Carter's on a 1-year deal.
Yep.
You don't have anybody in that room who's going to be around long. I guess Kalel Mullings is still there for now.
I don't think anybody views him as the future of the running back position for the team, though.
Right. This supersedes Kalel Mullings, and I think Mullings probably gets cut too.
This year? Yeah, it's possible.
They're going to keep at most 4 running backs.
Yeah.
And so Pollard's going to be there. Singleton's going to be there. I would lean that Carter is on the team above Spears, just because solid guy. He's been with him with New York.
I would agree with that.
So it comes down to Spears, Mullings, Chestnut. And I think if you're keeping a 4th running back, it's for special teams.
Yep.
And who's going to make an impact on special teams? I think Chestnut's probably played the most special teams among those 3.
They drafted Mullings to play special teams.
Yeah, so
he just was hurt a bunch last year.
I said it yesterday, Spears was a Carthon Vrabel pick in 2023.
Loved him.
There is no
him.
Connection to him and the current staff. I think it might be maybe they shop him and see if somebody will give up a 7th round pick for him.
Yeah, he might be a 7th rounder or a pick swap guy.
Right, but I don't think he's on the team.
He has not done enough to be in demand. Now, does that mean he's not capable of electric plays? No, he is capable of electric plays, but he's had a chance to say, "Hey, you have to play me," and he hasn't done that. That's just facts,
right?
I mean, Tony Pollard last year, when finally given some daylight, showed you he's Tony Pollard.
Yep. I mean, Pollard, when the offensive line was actually blocking for him,
when they got it together,
he started to get going. And
they had a 1,000-yard season last year.
I would have been fine with cutting Pollard if you felt like you had an upgrade out there that you could get in free agency. We talked about Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, but I also understand keeping him around. And I know Breece Hall didn't hit the market. I think if Breece Hall had gotten out there, I think Saleh would have scooped him up.
Yeah, but Singleton will be interesting. I'm looking forward to watching him. Because again, he's a bigger back guy. I don't know if the Titans have had a guy like him. I mean, outside of we keep forgetting his name, the thumper out of Michigan that they got.
Yeah. And I still can't remember his name for some reason.
But he's with the Chargers now.
They picked him in the 4th round too.
Well, I mean, but he was brought in to be a core special teams player, which he was, and to back up, and to be a short yardage guy for them. I mean, he was brought in to be a thumper.
It is, Hassan Haskins.
Hassan Haskins. I did not dislike Hassan Haskins.
No, I didn't either. He never really got a good chance here.
When they traded him away, I'm like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then they draft Kalel Mullings. I'm like, okay, they just drafted a guy to replace the guy that they traded away or that they cut.
They traded away him and Elijah Molden to the Chargers. And it's like,
and they both played a lot. But so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, look, he may not be that guy. He may not. And also, he's already had a lot of carries.
Yeah, that is true. That's something we talked about as a pro for Jeremiah Love there was a lot more tread on those tires.
I mean, the Titans brought in a guy during the Chris Johnson era named Javon Ringer from
Yeah.
Michigan State, who was really good at Michigan State. And he was really good when they brought him in here. He was a 3rd or a 4th round pick. He had so many carries at Michigan State, his body just fell apart.
Yeah, and this is typically the way that you address running back. You take a guy in the 4th or 5th round who you expect to keep for one contract and then move on. Jeremiah Love was an alien, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if he was there at 4, I don't doubt that the Titans would have taken him. But if you're not getting a Jeremiah Love type prospect, this is the way to address running back. You get a guy who is productive.
Like
he's
who
got
went after
traits.
Jadarian Price? Who's the next running back off the board?
It was it Mike Washington? There was only 2 taken on day 2, I want to say.
Okay.
Or no, there were none taken on day 2.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. I think that's right.
And then a couple went early on day 3.
So I mean, that goes exactly to what you're saying.
Let's see. Drafthistory.com.
There weren't that many running backs that were viewed as special.
I forgot. There was one running back taken on day 2. The Niners took their annual 3rd round running back in Kalen Black.
Okay.
Out of Indiana. Jonah Coleman went with the 8th pick in the 4th round. Mike Washington was after that. Then Emmett Johnson from Nebraska. Then Nick Singleton.
Okay.
And then Singleton's running mate, Katron Allen, went in the 6th round.
I have no problems with the guy they got.
No, I think that was one of their better picks. And then the 2 picks that really no one's talking about all that much, Jackie Marshall.
Nobody knows anything about him.
It's just more depth on the defensive line, which Robert Saleh loves.
Pass rush traits.
I don't know if you saw Jim Wyatt tweeted out or put out an article of like, here's where the roster stands right now. And it was like quarterbacks 4, running backs 6, defensive linemen 20.
Yeah.
And that included all of the defensive tackles and defensive ends, but Robert Saleh clearly wants depth there.
Yeah.
And then also Jaron Kanik, the tight end out of Oklahoma.
That's an intriguing pick.
That is a bones fossil special teamer right there.
Well, I mean, maybe he's more.
He played,
he's played tight end 1 year.
Yeah, and he played linebacker before, which is why I say
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with it, but I'm also saying he played 1 year at tight end and caught like 50 passes.
Yeah, for 500 yards, 450, somewhere around there.
And what did he play before he played linebacker?
Quarterback.
Okay. Who else played quarterback and moved to tight end?
Eli Stowers.
And
you're quizzing me here.
The greatest tight end probably ever.
Oh, did Kelsey play quarterback?
Yeah. He was a quarterback at Cincinnati.
For some reason,
got kicked off the team. Begged Butch Jones to put him back on the team, and Butch said, "You can come back, but you can't be a quarterback.
Yeah,
you gotta play tight
I do
end."
remember hearing that story. I don't know why I forgot about that.
And that's not. There are other ones too.
Well, yeah, and we mentioned like Jacob Rodriguez at linebacker. He was a quarterback at Virginia before he transferred to Texas Tech.
I think those guys see the field differently.
Yeah, they have really good spatial awareness
Look
because
at Julian Edelman.
Yeah,
another guy who was a quarterback, not a tight end, but a wide receiver, but really good at what? Finding space.
Right.
What's Travis Kelce good at? Finding space.
Right. And being on the same, this is what the quarterback is going to want me to do here. And so, I don't know. Kanik, the tight end room is a little bit crowded now too.
Also, really athletic.
Yes.
Like his athletic measurables are really good.
Yep.
And again, I'm not saying he's this. I'm just saying maybe more upside than you would think for a 7th round pick.
I think there's a decent chance they keep 4 tight ends. You've got Helm.
Well, because they're going to play 2 a lot.
Yes. Helm and Bellinger are locks. Then it's the trio of DMR, Kanik, and then Kylan Granson.
Yeah, the guy from
the Colts.
Yeah.
So, I think Kanik has a good chance to make the team because he is a guy who looks like he can contribute on special teams, and then we'll see if anything else comes from that.
Yeah.
Trevor on the text line asks, Corey, who is the most intriguing UDFA that you've seen for the Titans so far? He mentions the Tyron Montgomery wide receiver from John Carroll.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's really new to the position, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he's really new to the position, and so he's raw, and so he doesn't have to play this year, but like, I don't know how much demand there is for him out there. I think there's a lot of teams interested. And so, can you sneak him onto the practice squad?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that wide receiver room seems set at 6.
I mean, you already got Bryce Oliver fighting for his life there at the 6 spot.
Yeah. And maybe Oliver is more, vulnerable than we think. He's coming off the injury plague season, but I just do think he's a special teamer who has shown offensive upside. And
so the Montgomery is very thin.
Yes.
And Bryce is a tank. Bryce is a strong dude.
Right.
And so that's why he's built for special teams, among other things. And so, I think he's interesting. I think the tackle out of Notre Dame is also one that I'm really going to be watching.
I would say, Emil Wagner, the tackle from Notre Dame, and then Latrell McCutcheon, the cornerback from Houston, was the guy a lot of people had as draftable. He could play in the nickel, which
they've also got the other cornerback from the Vols, don't they?
Did they?
I believe so.
I haven't kept up on all the.
They haven't put out an official list
I'm
yet.
waiting for the Jim Wyatt list of everything. But Latrell McCutcheon Sr. is the DB from Houston, who I think a lot of people thought was going to get drafted. Maybe he ends up competing for the back end of that cornerback room, which you've got the top end guys with Taylor and Flott now, but there isn't a whole lot of depth there.
Yeah. By the way, so losing your 4th round pick, Keith Abney from Arizona State goes in the 5th round.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the great value picks of the draft.
Yep. I do think that there were a couple of guys who slipped. I mentioned Chandler Rivers from Duke, the cornerback, too. He ended up going to the Ravens. I would have liked him as a nickel option for the Titans, too. Keontae Scott fell in the draft, too.
Yeah.
He didn't go until day 3, which was surprising. Jacoby Thomas, his teammate, who transferred from MTSU to Miami.
Yeah.
He went before Keontae Scott.
He went way earlier.
Yeah, he went like 98th, somewhere in there.
I thought he was like round 6.
Right. I would have flipped. Like, I thought Keontae Scott was second or third round pick.
A lot of projections, I saw him going top 50.
Yeah, right.
And he did not.
Trevor says, might this be the end for Mason Kinsey? I think this might be the final time he gets thrown out of the bar.
Well, look, maybe they put him on the practice squad because they like what he brings there.
Yeah.
But this would be a 3rd coaching staff that he would have to convince.
Right. I like Mason Kinsey, but at some point, you're going to add enough talent that Mason Kinsey is no longer necessary.
Well, I mean, Xavier Restrepo is the other one.
Yeah. I'm not thinking about catching the strep this year.
Where does he fit in?
Yes.
I mean, if you keep him over Bryce Oliver, he can't be a gunner.
Right. That's why Oliver has the inside track. Somebody has to prove that they can make a difference on special teams more than Bryce Oliver.
I mean, because if you're going to keep 4 tight ends and you're going to keep 4 running backs.
Yeah, you're probably only keeping 6 receivers.
Exactly.
So, I think Restrepo is on his last legs. And
that doesn't mean they can't be practice.
Right. Restrepo and Mason Kinsey. You've heard that Mason Kinsey is great on scout team. And I am sure that he will continue to play that
He played
role.
Quarterback in a preseason game.
Right. No, I mean, Kinsey is going to stick around on the practice squad unless somebody else wants him.
Well, you know where Kinsey's going to be.
Where?
He's going to be in New England.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Does Vrabel finally scoop him up?
Yeah, absolutely.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got one more segment on this Wednesday. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final segment on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly.
I don't think Cory likes this.
I know all these are Guardians. I don't remember this one. Was this the end of the movie?
This was end of the third one.
Oh,
okay.
you're right.
That's
It
why
was.
I did not like the third movie.
Really?
It was sad.
What?
It was sad.
Well, it
It
was
was sad.
awesome.
It was
No.
supposed
It
to
was
like
sad, but
complete
it
the
was awesome.
story.
I did not like the third one.
Yeah.
It did not feel the same as the first two.
No, it didn't. Like it was the rocket stuff was very like
It's
kind of dark.
sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
You know, one day in the summer when there's absolutely nothing to talk about, I think Cory and I should rank our MCU movies.
Do we do that
There's
in
a
like
lot.
a June Wednesday? Just spend
We
an
could
hour.
do that. We could have a Star Wars ranking. We could have we could do a Star Trek draft.
We're gonna have.
I'm
what
no
if-
good on the Star Trek stuff.
I mean, we're almost in Mount Rushmore season of
Yeah.
Sports Talk Radio.
Well,
Like,
yeah, we could have Cryptid Wednesday.
yeah, there you go. I missed that.
You did
so,
miss out on the Cryptid adventure.
Yes.
It was an adventure.
Hey, I'm in for it. You know, when we get into we get into the dog days of summer, you know, it's we're gonna have to.
You know what we should do one time, and this is your show, so I shouldn't say that. We should, if people have Bigfoot or alien stories, ask them to call in.
Yeah, we're giving ideas for question of the day.
I like
for
it.
Chase and Big
I
Joe.
like it.
But yeah, I kind of like that. Again, over the summer, there's only so much you can do talking about the offseason for
Yeah.
football, and like we're gonna.
I've got UFO and ghost stories.
We'll get into some off the wall topics over the summer.
Yeah.
Ricky on the text line, thank
Yeah.
you for reminding us. Jalen McMurray is the Vols cornerback
Yes.
that the Titans. signed.
yes.
So-
So he's going to get a look.
Titans rookie minicamp coming up this weekend. I was looking to see who is going to be the quarterback in the rookie
I think they
minicamp.
signed two.
They signed. I saw Caden Salter,
Yes.
the Colorado quarterback, is going to be there.
Can I say this? He was not good.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the expectations for Colorado were that him or they had the 5-star freshman too.
He was terrible.
Yeah, they were not good.
Yeah,
but
that's why when I saw him, I'm like, all right.
well, and then they signed Thomas Castellanos as a
Okay.
UDFA, but he is going to play wide receiver.
Okay.
The quarterback who was at Boston College, beat
Yeah.
Alabama with Florida State this year. So that'll be interesting.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Not afraid to try something.
Yeah. I mean, I really do like the undrafted free agent class they've brought in so far. I think there's
Yeah.
some interesting names, but you do have to go into it knowing they're undrafted free agents
Yep.
for a reason. And the odds of any of them making the roster are pretty slim.
They've got 12 wins in 3 years.
They got a chance, right? But like, you know, especially with 8 draft picks,
Yeah.
right? Like there's not going to be a whole lot of spots for undrafted guys.
Yeah. You'd like to think that the endless line of draft classes with no players left in them comes to an end and it gets harder to make the team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think usually I would set like the over under of undrafted free agents to make a team at like 1.5.
Yeah. For
right.
this team, it's been like 4,
Right. Yeah.
6.
Well, and you never know. Last year we talked a ton about the waiver claims because the Titans had the top waiver
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah.
It's like some of the guys that make the roster initially.
Did that work out at all?
They got 4 guys.
Like, did anybody of that's like
Dorian Mossy ended up being
yeah.
a decent special teamer.
he's still with them.
Yes, he's still on the team. I forget the other ones. They got the big pass rusher from the Vikings.
Oh,
I'm blanking. I think he's still on the team too.
not Ali K.
No,
That was the guy they got from the
they
Texans.
they got the 2 cornerbacks. The one from Baltimore who actually played a decent amount. And
that's right. Yeah. The 3 names.
and yes, and then they got the corner from Indy who didn't play very much.
Yes.
Who Womack.
That's right. So
Ravenel,
Raven-
CJ Ravenel. That was
so
the
basically didn't do a lot.
no. They were depth players. Jalen Armour Davis. There we
Jalen
go.
Armour
We've
Davis,
remembered
yes.
all 4 of the waiver claims.
Yes.
For the
you
Titans.
have. I have not.
Uh,
My brain no longer works.
Jeff on the text line. This is what we'll end the show with here.
Okay.
He says, with past performance being the best predictor of future performance, and
Mhm.
regardless of improvements made before game 1 this season, would you go over or under of 25.5 sacks surrendered on Ward this regular season? I'm going over.
That's like
That's 1.5 per game.
yeah, I was 1.5 per game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
mean,
over.
Now the last like 7 games of last year, the sack numbers are really good.
Yeah, no, they were good.
But yeah, I mean, look, no, he's going to hang on to the ball to try to make some plays at times. I mean, look, if he gets sacked 35 times That's a pretty good year.
Yeah, that's not horrible. I'd say you'd like to keep it around 2 per game.
Yeah, that's 35.
Right. Yeah, that's right. For some reason I was thinking 16 games, 17 games.
Look,
yeah.
if it was 28-30, I'd love that. Remember, Kerry Collins had a great offensive line in front of him and got rid of the football. He was very immobile. But he's the offensive coordinator now at Spring Hill High School.
Yeah.
But he didn't take sacks.
Right.
He didn't take sacks. And so
Warren's going to take some sacks.
Yes. And that's because he's more of a go for it guy at this point of his career.
Yeah.
So, he'll be at fault for some of them, the offensive line. So yeah, I would definitely go. What was the number he gave?
25.5.
Oh yeah.
Over that.
That's the easy bet.
I would say, yeah, if you can keep it around 35, I would say under 40 makes you feel pretty good. And
it's certainly the number we've seen the last couple of years.
How many times did he get sacked last year?
Because you need to go game by game because
it got way better.
Under McCoy, that number got way better.
So he took 55 sacks last year.
And I would guess 40 of them were in the first 8 to 10 games.
In the last 6 games of the season, he only got sacked 10 times.
There you
go.
So
he got sacked 45 times in the first 11.
So 1.5 sacks per game the last 6 games.
Right, but 4 per game in the first 11.
But so that 1.5 number is what we're looking at.
Right. Yeah. I think you want to be closer to 2.5 instead of what it was 4 through the first 3 months of the season.
But look, if he could be 1.5 and be at 25, I mean,
that'd be phenomenal.
I will put it this way: if he gets sacked 25 times or less this year,
Titans are going to be a playoff team.
They're going to win a lot of games.
Yep. Cory, always appreciate you coming in.
You're not going to be here next week?
I'm not going to be in next week.
Why?
I'm on my honeymoon next week.
What?
I'm getting married on Saturday.
What? Okay. Number one, I appreciate not being invited because I don't have to buy you a gift. But why would a woman do that?
I mean, I don't know. I've been asking her that for years. We've been dating for a decade, and somehow she hasn't gotten tired of it.
Can I ask you where you're going on your honeymoon?
Mexico.
Which part?
Western.
Okay, so like Acapulco.
Like Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta. Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
Excited. It'll be good. But I will not be with you next week, but I will be back the week after.
Who's with me?
Not sure yet.
Well, don't be surprised.
That'll be a suit.
Cory and I will hold it down.
Don't be surprised if Parker and I get married.
There you go. I will.
But we may show up right next to you.
We may want gifts though.
I will send you a gift. That'll do it for us. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. TD with us tomorrow at 9 a.m. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.